आप सबका स्वागत है मेरे इस चैनल इंडियन एक्स मुस्लिम साहिल पर। उम्मीद है कि आप लोग अच्छे से होंगे। अगर मेरी आवाज़ आप लोगों को आ रही है तो एक बार आप कंफर्म कर दीजिए ताकि मैं आज के इस एपिसोड को आगे लेता चलूं। दोस्तों, अगर मेरी आवाज़ आ रही है तो आप लोग कमेंट में एक बार मेंशन कर दीजिए। मसूद, मेरी आवाज़ आ रही है?
यस, आवाज आ रही है आपकी।
अच्छा, लाइव मुझे 0 दिखा रहा है और कमेंट में
मुझे भी 0 दिखा रहा है।
कुछ इशू है।
कमेंट शायद। चलो ना, ठीक है, हम स्ट्रीम तो चालू करते हैं। ये यूट्यूब पे अभी भी लाइव नहीं हुई है।
अच्छा, आ गया, 22 दिख रहा है। ठीक है
हाँ,
दोस्तों, क्या आप लोगों को मेरी आवाज आई थी अब तक जो मैंने कहा? एक बार चैट में कंफर्म कर दीजिए ताकि मैं इस स्ट्रीम को आगे लेता चलूं। अब आ रही है, ठीक है। सो जय हिंद दोस्तों, सलाम, प्रणाम, सत श्री अकाल, नमस्ते। आप सबका स्वागत है मेरे इस चैनल इंडियन एक्स मुस्लिम साहिल पर। उम्मीद है कि आप लोग अच्छे से होंगे। कुछ टेक्निकल प्रॉब्लम की वजह से मेरी आवाज़ आप लोगों तक नहीं आ रही थी। एंड बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया कि आप लोगों ने कंफर्म किया कि अब आप लोगों को आवाज़ आ रही है। जितने लोग इस वीडियो को देख रहे हैं, आप सबसे रिक्वेस्ट है कि आप लोग वीडियो को लाइक कर दें, शेयर कर दें। आज बहुत ही ख़ास मेहमान हमारे साथ है और जैसे कि आप लोग जानते हैं कि आज का जो एपिसोड है वो हमारा इस्लाम से इंसानियत तक एक मुल्हिद की कहानी, इस इसका एपिसोड नंबर 10 है। थैंक्स अ लॉट एवरीवन कंफर्म करने के लिए। एक अपडेट आपको ये दे दूं कि चूंकि हमारे जो गेस्ट है और वो ऑलरेडी आ चुके हैं स्टूडियो में, वो इंग्लिश प्रीफर करते हैं, तो हम आज का जो स्ट्रीम है वो इंग्लिश में कंडक्ट करने वाले हैं ताकि जो हमारे इंटरनेशनल ऑडियंस है वो भी इस वीडियो को देख सके और समझ सके। हमारी ये कोशिश रहेगी कि हम इस स्ट्रीम को हिंदी में भी इसका कैप्शन ऐड करें। मेरे साथ आज चुलबुल जी भी रहेंगे स्ट्रीम में। मैं उनको स्टूडियो में ले लेता हूं क्योंकि आप लोगों को पता है मेरी इंग्लिश इतनी अच्छी नहीं है, तो जहां पे मैं अगर रुक जाऊं तो चुलबुल जी आएंगे और उस बात को कंटिन्यू करेंगे। चुलबुल जी को स्ट्रीम में ले लेता हूं मैं। चुलबुल जी, बहुत बहुत स्वागत है आपका।
Thank you for inviting me for the stream, Sahil.
थैंक्स अ लॉट।
Yep.
कैसे
Hello,
हैं चुलबुल
everyone.
जी आप?
Ji, bilkul badhiya. And I would like to introduce our special guest to everyone. Hello, everybody. This is another episode of Islam Se Insaniyat Tak. And today we have a very special guest with us all the way from Canada, Mr. Abdullah Samirji, who has graciously accepted our invite to join us today and discuss his journey from Islam to humanity. And if time permits, he would also answer your questions. Over to you, Sahil.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Chulbul ji. So, hello, Abdullah ji. Welcome to our channel.
Thank you.
And this
Thank you for
episode,
having me. Yes, it's nice to be
yeah,
here.
it's an honor for me that someone so special like you has accepted our invitation and given your precious time to us.
Not a problem. I'm glad to do it. If we're working together to change hearts, change minds, have conversations, I mean, this is what I do. So I'm happy to do it.
Thanks a lot. Just wanted to update you that my English is not very good. It's okay. So please pardon me if I am not able to express myself properly. Chulbul is also with us in this stream. Okay, in case I stuck somewhere, he will come in and he will continue. I think we are not able to hear you.
Oh, and I was saying I don't speak Hindi or Urdu at all, so
No
we'll
issues.
do our best.
Yeah. We are absolutely fine. I can understand English. Only problem is with speaking, but
Okay.
yeah, it's still okay with me. I can still speak. Okay. So once again, thanks a lot. Uh, let's start our episode. I request all my viewers to please like the video and share the video. And those viewers who have not yet subscribed our channel, I request you all to please subscribe. uh, Paul Chad is telling Sahil, your English is fine. Thanks a lot. I'll try my best. Uh, Abdullah ji, let's start with the episode. Uh, I have few questions for you, and we'll be glad to know the journey of yours from Islam to humanity. Okay, so the very first question that I have with you, for you, okay, I'll just highlight that. So the first question is, tell us about your background, like where did you grow up, family, religious atmosphere at home, etc. Just want
Okay.
to tell you that what
Mhm.
in case whatever information you feel you're not supposed to share, you can hide that.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm pretty public about most things, so I'm okay talking about almost anything. The only few things I don't talk about would be like regarding like my wife, for example, or something like that, because she has her own privacy and stuff. So, for example, tell us about your background. Like, where did you grow up? So, I grew up mostly in Canada, but I was born in Kenya. When I was 8, I came to Canada. And I grew up in a family that my dad is Ismaili, so Ismaili Shia Muslim, and my mom is Sunni, but she wasn't very religious, she wasn't practicing. Because, of course, in the first place, yeah, a Sunni woman is not allowed to marry an Ismaili man. So it wasn't as important. The religious teachings weren't that important to her. But my dad raised us up as Ismaili. Do you know much about Ismailis?
Ismailis, you're talking about Shias, right?
Yeah, so not even just mainstream Shias. These are
Hmm.
like a very small sect. They're like maybe 5 million, maybe 10 million, I don't know, 20 million in the world. Very small compared to like a billion plus Muslims. And they believe in Aga Khan. Aga Khan
Hmm.
is the leader of the Ismailis, right? So when he dies, it'll be his son, and then his son. It continues. It's a hierarchy. It's like a monarchy, like a
I
religious.
think we know them by the name Khoja
Yeah, some
in
of them like
India.
Khojas. Yeah.
Yeah.
So my dad was Ismaili, and Ismailism is very liberal, very moderate. They pray 3 times a day. There's no jihad. There's no hijab. It's very watered down Islam. So that was where I came from, and when I was in high school, around the age of, I don't know, 18 or something, 17, I don't know, I was introduced to Sunni Islam by some friends. They said, "Why don't you come and pray namaz with us?" So I'm like, "Okay." And I asked my dad. My dad is like, "Yeah, it doesn't matter. If you want to pray namaz or pray, it doesn't. As long as you want to worship God, however, it's fine." He's a very cool guy, very understanding. So I started joining them, and then eventually I decided to convert to Sunni Islam because I felt like it was more accurate according to the Quran, whereas Ismailism was a little bit like, I felt it was a little bit distant. It was a little bit disconnected from Islam, from the Quran. The Quran says, you have to pray 5 times a day. It doesn't actually say that, but it has a lot of things. For example, wudu, like washing before you pray, stuff like that. It has a lot of the things that Ismailis do. They're no longer like one of the things Ismailis do is they pray to Aga Khan. They say,
Hmm.
"Ya Ali," "O Ali, do this, do that," and the Quran says you can't do that. You're not allowed to do
Hmm.
that. So when that happened, I asked my dad, and he said, "Well, Ismailis, we do this, but the Quran says this is forbidden." So then I converted to
Right.
Sunni. So I became Sunni Muslim, and Sunnism became my life. I became very religious, praying 5 times a day. I wanted to marry a Muslim wife, and whenever I would go out anywhere, like to office, I would always go and I would find like a room. I would pray in the room. And it was tough. It wasn't easy, like going in front of everybody, and you sometimes you can't find a place to pray, so you have to pray like kind of in the open where people can see you. It's uncomfortable. You have to wash your feet and your hands at the office. It's tough. It's not easy, but I did that because I believed in it. I also
Mm-hmm.
started a website called lightuponlight.com.
Okay. So
So
you
it's
won't
up.
believe.
Yep.
I'm sorry to interrupt
No,
you.
go ahead.
Light
Questions
upon
is better.
yeah.
Yeah.
Lightuponlight.com is the website.
Yep.
When I was a teenager in my 12th or 13th standard, I was visiting this website. Okay, when I was a Muslim.
Oh wow.
Uh, yeah, I know this website because the name of the website is very catchy. Light
Yeah.
upon light. So I
Yeah.
still remember that.
Yeah.
And this is the website I used to go to there because you used to upload videos of the international speakers.
Yeah.
We in
Yeah.
India, we used to listen only Zakir Naik, here.
Yeah.
But since I was very much interested in Islam, and I was more inclined toward this sect, Salafism. So Light Upon Light, I think the website has most of the scholars. I think almost all scholars were from the Salafi background. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Because
yeah.
halfway through, when I was just like, because I converted to Sunni, I was just like a generic Muslim. I didn't know Salafi, Sufi, whatever. But then later on, I became Salafi. So what happened was I started to focus more. There are some uploads on the website which are not the non-Salafis, like Riyadul Haq. He's like a
Hmm.
famous like Madhabi, right? Mazhabi. But yeah, I was
Deobandi, I
definitely.
think.
Hmm?
He is Hanafi, I think. He is
Yes.
Hanafi.
Yeah, so I definitely was before I was just like all over the place, but eventually I decided to be Salafi, and then I stopped. I limited, yeah. So that's cool. That's good to know that someone used my website a long time ago. So now I have to undo that, right?
Yeah.
Because here I have people that are becoming more religious because of my dawah, like my dawah I was doing online. And I
Mhm.
used to also help out other sheikhs, like Sheikh Yusuf Estes. A lot of people know
Yeah.
him.
I was a
Uh,
good fan of him also.
Yeah, so I used to help him out behind the scenes a lot. He knows me really well. And the other guy was Eddie from the Dean Show. Do you know Eddie?
No, I'm
Okay.
hearing it first time.
Eddie from the Dean Show has a huge Islamic channel. He has like, I don't know, 500,000 subs or something. He's like a big guy now. Like at that time, he had this thing he was doing. He's like a martial arts instructor, and he uploads interviews with high profile scholars all the time. And so he knows me really well as well. So I used to help him out. So this is what I was doing. I was like, I'm Muslim. I want to um do I want to help other people to be Muslim too, because I want other people to go to Jannah, right? I want other
Yeah.
people to have goodness. Like I think Islam is good, so why would I want to keep that to myself, right? So what I did was I tried to help other people, right, to become more religious, because at the end of the day, all of us, I believed would have to face Allah, and we want to be on
Right.
Allah's good side, not his bad side, right? So
Right.
I try to make that change, and in my personal life as well. My younger brother converted as well because of me, and my family members like became more religious because of me. I
Mm-hmm.
married a Muslim. Then after that, I married a Muslim convert. She became Muslim before she met me, and then we had
Mm-hmm.
kids. I have 5 kids now, and yeah, that was
Just
my.
to Abdullah Samir ji, just one thing that I would like to know.
Yep.
When you change from Ismaili sect to the Sunni or maybe Salafi, what was your family's reaction to that? Because as you said, we also know Khoja are very very much like normal people. They are least bothered about the fast, and the prayer. We know that because we have seen that. In fact, I'll tell you that one of my girlfriends, she was Khoja, and they are very very normal people. In fact, a person, the name that they keep, like some of my colleagues who are from Khoja set, they had name like Samir, and the name which is in between, a person will be confused whether he is Muslim or he is Hindu. Okay. Karishma, I'm talking about the name they keep in India. Okay.
Yeah.
So I know that they are very normal people. They are least bothered about all this stuff that we have in Sunni Islam. So what was their reaction when they came to know that you have changed to more of intense sect like
Mol-
Salafi or
Molvi,
Sunni? Yeah.
because I became
Acha, they
Molvi.
thought you became Molvi.
So I would be a little bit cautious using the word normal people, because I think Muslims are normal people too. There's all sorts of people out there, but I think you mean like more like non-Muslims.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm really sorry.
Yeah,
That's the reason I told you. Please pardon me. If I use some words, and it's also for my viewers, since my English is not that good.
it's
Please
fine.
pardon
Yeah.
me if I use some words which is not appropriate. And thanks, Abdullah ji. You can always correct me in case I'm going somewhere wrong.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Kind
like
of non-Muslims.
so yeah, like Ismailis are more, you can say, integrated, or they're more, yeah, integrated is a better word. They're more like mixed into the community. They're not as distant or isolated compared to like
Hmm.
some Sunni Muslims, right?
Yeah.
Again, my mom was Sunni, so just keep that in mind. Half of my family was very Sunni, so my mom, obviously, she had no issue with it. My dad, he wasn't like happy about it, because obviously he's a Smiley, and he didn't want me to leave his sect. And my stepmom, so he had married another woman as well, she was like more upset about it, because I was telling them, you're going to hell. You guys are misguided. Your religion is corrupt, and this and that. So they got like, my dad was like, just leave him alone. He's just becoming a little bit crazy right now. He'll calm down. My stepmom was more upset, right? And eventually I apologized to her too. I said, I'm sorry for saying those things. But I believed that Ismailis were not Muslim. I believe that, as a Salafi,
Hmm.
especially. Some Sunni Muslims would say, it's like they wouldn't say that. But the thing is,
Hmm.
Ismailism is so different. It's so
most of
radically
them most of them, they do not consider Khoja as
as
Muslims.
Muslims.
It's
Exactly.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. So I was like, Salafi especially would be like, straight up, you guys are non-Muslim, right? So they didn't
Hmm.
they didn't like me saying that. But anyway, but my dad was very accepting of it. He was like, it's up to you, whatever makes you happy. Like I said, he was a very cool guy. And so he was like, yeah, if you want to be Sunni, that's fine. Whatever way you. But he told me, he always used to tell me, just take it with a grain of salt. Don't accept everything you hear that everybody's telling you, right? And that was
Hmm.
very good advice he told me, even though I didn't listen to him. But it was very good advice. He was more like, even though he was a Smiley, he was very agnostic. He used to question a lot of things. He used to say, I don't know what Allah is exactly. I don't know what happens when I die. I do believe that there's going to be some sort of continuation of an existence, but he didn't believe in like Jannah, anything. Like, he's very agnostic. He used to say, I don't know if Allah is a black man. He used to make jokes. He used to say, I'm gonna go to
Okay.
hell with all the naughty girls. He used to say funny things like that, like all the time. So he
Hmm.
was okay with me being Sunni, but he used to say, like, Sunnism, it doesn't have like meditation, it doesn't have spirituality like Ismailism does. So you should try to meditate. And I was like, nah, I don't need to meditate. Meditation, I don't need that. Like, I already do salah. So I was like, whatever. But he was right, actually. I like, a lot of the things he told me were 100% right. Like, doing namaz is not the same as meditation, because you're just like, you're mumbling Quran. It's not the
Yeah.
same.
Most of them, they do not understand what they are reciting also.
Yeah, you don't know what you're saying. And even if you do know what you're saying, that might even make it worse, because then you're like imagining, you're fantasizing about what you're hearing. You're not in the moment. You're not, you know, and to be fair, I mean, Sunnis do teach that you should have khushu in prayer, which means, you know, kind of like mindfulness, be in the
Yeah,
moment,
khushu
don't
and
lose.
khuzu.
Khushu
Khushu and
means like,
khuzu.
khushu is kind of like, you know, that you should be in the moment. You don't forget where you are while you're praying. Like, you know, sometimes when you're praying namaz, you don't even remember what you're saying or where you are. You're not supposed to do that. But the point is that the namaz prayer is not, it's not ideal. It's not as good as meditation. Let's put it like that. Because you're always mumbling something, moving, doing things. Whereas when you meditate, you're focusing inwards. You're being in the moment. You are, and it has, you know, scientific benefits. Meditation, right? Meditation is known to have scientific benefits on anger, reduces anger. It allows you to, you know, reduce anxiety. It makes you more peaceful. It helps you with your heart, your actual body actually will, your heart beat will slow down. And you know, there's so many studied benefits of meditation. So meditation is actually a very good thing, right? Even for someone that's atheist, that doesn't believe in any god or anything, there's actual benefits to it. Whereas namaz, I don't think it has those benefits that meditation. So my,
In
you know,
namaz also, Abdullah Samirji, in namaz also, you know, there are different levels in that. I mean, the best one is like when you offer the prayer of a namaz, it should be like you are seeing the God, okay? And
yeah,
in case if you are not feeling, you're not getting that feeling that you are seeing the God, at least think that, you know, the God is seeing you. Allah is watching you. Okay, so
yeah,
these are the levels. I
exactly.
don't know which moment has reached to the first level. I'm seriously concerned, you know. I want to know, because we, though we were you know, hardcore mu'min, we never got that feeling, you know, that we have reached to this first level, that we are talking or we are watching Allah
Yeah,
or
I
the
think
other one.
I think it's a lot of, for a lot of Muslims, it's just a lot of make believe. You kind of pretending to yourself that, I mean, let's be honest, when anyone that, not only Muslims, but anyone that's praying to God, they're talking to an imaginary friend. Like that person doesn't exist. You know, they're
Hmm,
asking this person to do this entity, do this for me, do that for me. You would have the same effects as just talking to your plants. Like you could
hmm,
talk to your plants and say, you know, I want this job tomorrow. And like I'm for example, right now I'm interviewing for a new job. I could tell
hmm.
my plant, hey, I want this job, and I might get the job. I'll be, hey, look, I got the job. I talked to my plant, like, but that's what happens
Hmm.
when you speak to God. You are actually having a conversation, but it's all in your mind, right? You make believing, right? It's the same thing with namaz.
Yeah.
I would say, you're making believe that God is watching you, and you know, it's a form of mind control, right?
Yeah. So, Abdullah Samirji, have you also done some formal religious studies from some madrasa, like, you know, reading
No.
or learning Arabic? No, you have not done that. Okay.
So a lot of what I did was self-taught because I was in Canada, and I did actually attend some seminars. Some, I don't know if you've heard of Al Maghrib. Al Maghrib is it's a
I heard
Salafi,
that.
yeah, it's a Salafi organization,
Hmm.
and I went to a lot of the classes on, you know, fiqh and salah, wudu, the fiqh of food and clothing, and with Yasir Qadi. I actually met Yasir Qadi multiple times. I did Islamic finance, but this was like kind of like it's university style seminars. It's not madrasa
Mhm.
style. It's not like, you know, like what you're thinking of from back home.
Yeah,
I
like
didn't do
how,
that.
we have, you know, 3 4 days workshops, especially for students, or you know, when they have holidays in school, they keep these 3 4 days workshop to learn fake, or you know, some or
Yes.
the other topic they decide, and they do this workshop, especially on iman and akida, because the
Yeah.
Salafis are more concerned about. We know that, right? How much concerned they are about Akida. They regard every
Yeah.
other firqa as, you know, gumrah and you know, misguided sect.
Yes.
Yeah. So the religious studies that you got that time were from these kind of workshops, right?
Yeah, and I also like I did attend like a lot of I was at masjids all the time. So whatever masjid had a program. So for example, I would sit down. like reading Quran was tough for me because I had to learn the Arabic on my own, and then I had help from friends in mosques and stuff like that. Um, yeah, Akida means, someone's asking what is Akida. Akida basically is Islamic dogma or ideology, like who is Allah, what is Allah's attributes, and stuff like that. Basically focusing on the dogma.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So you can continue.
Yeah,
It was
so
difficult for you to
yeah, I had to learn on
learn the
my own,
Arabic.
right? Like I did a lot on my own because most kids, they learn to read Quran, Muslim kids, when they're like a kid, right? For me, I was like, like a grown up. I was 18, 19, and I was learning 20. I was learning on my own for the first time how to read, and it was tough, but I did it. I did eventually. I don't think I ever read the Quran in Arabic in full. I got maybe halfway through, but in English,
Hmm.
in my language, I understood. I read it multiple times, 2 or 3 times. I read all of Sahih Bukhari cover to cover,
Hmm. Okay.
multiple times. I
Mhm.
um, I used to listen to Islamic lectures like 24/7 on my, at the time it was like iPod or whatever, music device. I
You
used to
had
have
Walkman.
Walkman. Yes, I used to have cassettes. I
Yeah.
used to have a lot of things like Hamza Yusuf's Life of Muhammad. I studied that on my own through his audio tapes and stuff like that. I was kind of like self-taught basically.
Yeah. Okay. So I think you have already answered the second question. Okay, which was any religious education part of it? We got the answer. Let's move to the third question that we have for you. Is does your family still follow faith, or are they ex-Muslims too?
Okay, so that's I can't say that. I'm not answering that question, but what I will say is my
Muslim.
brother is still religious Muslim. My younger brother, he, like, when I became Sunni, he followed me, but when I left Islam, he's married to a Muslim woman, and his in-laws are all Muslim, and he didn't want to talk to
He's
me
still
about it.
Sunni, or he moved back to Ismaili sect?
No, 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 no. He's still like
Hmm.
Salafi, like Sunni,
Hardcore Sunni.
very religious, more religious than me. Like, I
Hmm.
mean, more religious. He became more religious than I was. So
Hmm.
he was like, at one point, his wife was wearing niqab. I don't think she does now, but anyways, the point is, he didn't want to discuss with me when I left Islam, and he said, you're being a nuisance, and I don't want to discuss. You can go talk to the imam. So he wanted me
Hmm.
to talk to the imam, but he didn't want to talk to
The
me about it.
standard
So
dialogue.
so I did talk to so my immediate family, meaning my wife and kids. I don't want to talk about that, but like I will tell you that I did do what my brother said, which is I went to talk to a bunch of imams. I
Hmm.
spoke to one guy that's a Sufi imam, just to see if maybe I was wrong about being Salafi. Maybe Sufi would help me. Nope, didn't help. I talked to one of the Al Maghrib professors on the phone for a couple of hours. I spoke to a guy that teaches Islam in university in the U.S. So like a professor of Islam. I spoke to basically so many people, right? I spoke to a lot of friends as well, religious friends, and nobody was able to solve the problems with Islam that I had, right? So basically, that's what happened. But yeah, in
So
terms of,
one thing,
yep, go ahead.
Abdullah Samirji, one thing I'll like to add is that, when someone wants to accept Islam, they are least bothered, for this guy, that he should go to his scholars and check, first, that what is the problem with their religion, and then he can, take the decision. They are just like you. You don't have to read the entire Quran, Hadith, and all that. You have to just accept Islam, okay? But when it is vice versa, if someone is leaving Islam, they want you to learn everything. They want you to connect with your scholar first. They want you to do all sort of thing, try to take clarification for all the doubts you have. So I think this is a double standard which I am seeing mostly in Muslims. What is your
Yeah,
take on this?
yeah, for sure. Yeah, I don't know if it's more with Muslims or if it happens with other communities too. But for sure, Muslims do this, right? And yeah, like basically, you are 100% right. When you leave Islam, the expectations are that you are even if you were a scholar, they would not accept it. Even if you spoke Arabic, I have lots of friends that speak Arabic and left Islam,
Mm.
and it still makes
Yeah.
no difference. I have lots of friends that have memorized the Quran and speak Arabic, and
Mm.
still it's not enough for them. It's never considered enough. So
Mm.
you're totally right on that.
Right. And one more thing, when someone leaves Islam, the family member are like, we have lost something and he'll go to hell and all sort of drama they do. But, they don't think about the person who has accepted Islam, that their family member also follows some religion, and, they will also feel hurt when someone leaves that religion and come to Islam. They never
Yeah.
think about them. But when
Yes.
someone leaves Islam, they are like, yeah, it's something on a different level,
Yeah.
which I'm not seeing this in other religion. The other people are more like, ठीक है, it's fine if you feel that that is correct, you can follow that. But that is not the case with Islam. They'll stop talking to you, they will do social boycott, and there is a security threat also for you.
Yeah, so I'm always nervous to speak about other religious communities because I was not part of other religious communities. But I will tell you that I have spoken to ex-Mormons. Mormon is one of the like Christian sects, and ex-Jehovah's Witnesses on my YouTube channel, and both of them had similar experiences. Both women, with shunning, with being kicked out of the family. Um, some of them they had like similar experiences of being. I don't think any of them, at least the two women I talked to, I don't think they were physically threatened, but it happens there too. Maybe I don't know the amounts, but I just want to say we should be careful talking about other religious communities, because a lot of the times I get that too. I'm told, people say, well, Christianity doesn't do this, and then my ex-Christian friends are like, well, no, it does. I've gone through the same experience too. So I like to look at, whether it's, Muslims are victims of Islam, but they still behave like human beings behave, right? And so a lot of the things that Muslims do, you will find to some extent or another in other communities as well, because it's a human thing to be angry, to be tribal, right? Like when
Hmm.
you leave my tribe, you are actually, it becomes like a tribal thing, and we all have
You're
a
cheating.
little bit of
It's like you're cheating and leaving us,
you are leaving
kind
us.
of.
And so even my dad, like he was upset, but he was a very tolerant individual. Some Ismailis have a much worse experience. When they convert to Sunni, the parents, they might kick them out. Again, I haven't heard of this experience specifically with Ismailis, but I have heard of Christians, even for example, someone that's not even leaving Christianity, but they're gay. Their family
Hmm.
will kick them out. Like I've heard of stories. The family will be very abusive to kick them out. I never want to see you again. You're not my son. So there is, I think, this tribalism that all of us have to some extent or another. But I do agree with you that Islam has very like rotten teachings when it comes to
Hmm.
apostasy. Very
Yeah.
harmful, very crude, nasty things that Islam says. Like, for example, apostates should be killed in an Islamic state. Even if we don't have an Islamic state, that teaching is very dehumanizing, right?
Hmm.
So
Right.
it is a teaching that tells people that, basically you don't deserve to live. Not that necessarily someone will kill you, but you don't deserve to live because you are
Hmm.
against. Now some Muslim scholars nowadays, I think it's a good thing, they say,
Yeah.
like they say, oh, this is not relevant today. This is related to the Muhammad's time when there was an Islamic state, and if you went and you became non-Muslim, it was treason. You were
Hmm.
committing treason against the state. Now, I don't agree with this logic, but I think for
Hmm.
Muslims, maybe some Muslims do accept this, and they say, well, we don't need this apostasy law anymore because there's no more Islamic state. And it's true, there is no Islamic state. Saudi Arabia is not an Islamic state. It's a Muslim country. It's a Muslim
Hmm.
country. It's basically a monarchy. It's not an Islamic state, right? The ISIS tried to do Islamic State, and of course,
Hmm.
ISIS is probably the only Islamic State you could say that does exist. Most Muslims do not accept ISIS. 99% of Muslims don't accept ISIS. So, really speaking, the apostasy law, I think, it's going away, but unfortunately, it's part of Islam.
Yeah. So you're talking about scholars like the new scholar who was attacked, some Mufti. I'm
Abu
not
Layth?
remembering his name. Yeah, Mufti Abu
Yeah.
Layth.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
not
So
just
I think
So
you're
Abu
referring
Layth,
to, yeah,
Abu Layth is for sure like way ahead of the
different.
curve, progressive. He's very progressive. But I'm saying, even for example, mainstream Sunni scholars, for example, Hamza Yusuf. Hamza
Hmm.
Yusuf has said, and I know this is going to be shocking for some people. Hamza Yusuf, who is followed by millions of Muslims and is considered one of the top American scholars, he has said, I do not want hudud. We don't need
Hmm.
hudud back. We don't need capital punishment. We don't need
Hmm.
stoning. We don't need, killing, executing apostates. We don't want that back. We don't need that back. That
Hmm.
The point of those laws was specifically to protect Islam at that time. And according to his understanding, we don't
Hmm.
need that and we don't want that. Now, of course, the other side would disagree with him. This Salafis would say you're crazy.
Yeah.
You can't get rid of stoning and whatever. So there is a clash among Muslim scholars. Salafis
Right.
are like, and Salafis,
Right. Right.
not even
Totally agree.
Salafis, worse than that, not Salafis, Islamists,
Hmm.
right? Like people that are like, follow Hassan al-Banna, Maududi, people that are basically, Muslim Brotherhood, Hizb ut-Tahrir, these
Hmm.
Islamic groups that want to establish Islam politically, they are the most dangerous, more dangerous than Salafis, more dangerous
Hmm.
than Sufis. Obviously, Sufis and these people, they're like not as bad because they don't want Islamic law necessarily coming back. They don't care. But
For
Islamists,
Sufis, sorry to interrupt you.
yes,
My understanding is that for Sufis, uh, they'll just go brutal only if you do some kind of gustakhi to Prophet Muhammad. Even if you say something wrong with Islam, they will be
yeah,
like, okay, but you
yeah.
cannot say anything, derogatory to Prophet Muhammad. Otherwise, they have this similar mentality that we will chop off your head.
So
You agree
I
with
have
me?
to, yeah, I have to be honest. I as a disclaimer, my experiences of Islam are very Western. Just keep that in mind. I forgot to mention that because in your in your country, you might have a very different experience with Muslims, and in obviously in Pakistan, where the majority, it's very different than in Canada. In Canada, Muslims are well behaved, like you know what I mean. It's very
Hmm.
different. So I have to make that as a disclaimer. Yes, you're the Sufis over there, they might actually be the way you said, but I haven't seen
Yes.
that in Canada. So
Hmm.
that's just one clarification to make, that all of everything I'm saying is very
Hmm.
Western experience. I grew up in Canada and that's all I know. I lived in Egypt for 6 months, but I mean, I can't really comment on that just from 6 months. Like I can make some basic observations, but like
Hmm.
you may understand the experience is different. The Muslim
Yeah, I'm
community
I'm
is
talking
different.
in
Yeah.
perspective of what we see here in India, and
Yeah.
especially Indian subcontinent like India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, and especially when I say Sufi or Barelvi, they are more like okay with other stuff. Even if you do something, if you do say something wrong about Allah, they are still okay, but you cannot just say anything to Prophet Muhammad. They will not like it. They will not be able to digest it.
Uh, yeah.
This is what the scenario, especially in India.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. That I hope that you know what I think. I think what I think is the Muslim community in some ways hasn't been like secularized like the Christian community and some other communities in and the Jewish community in America. The Christian community at one point used to be as bad as the way that the Muslim community is behaving. So, for example, there was a movie made about Jesus being gay. They made a movie on Netflix. I forget what it's called,
Hmm.
and the movie maker got death threats. So it does happen when you go that far and you say Jesus was gay, that people will get mad and threaten you. But like if you went back 100 years ago, like they could never even make a movie like that, because they would have been killed, or they would have gone to jail maybe. So the Christian and Jewish community in North America has become secularized, has become tamed, and they are actually more tolerant, which is a good thing. We need tolerance. We need a little bit more tolerance in the Muslim community. Muslims need to be able to uh, accept that your God, your religion has been, I mean, criticized from even before Muhammad was born. Like if you look at the Quran says that Noah was, made fun of for 970 years. He
Right.
lived 1,000 years, right? This guy. So if he lived 1,000 years and he was being mocked and he was peaceful, I mean, you can be peaceful and you can show people a good side of Islam, which is tolerance. Yeah, okay. People are gonna mock Muhammad. So what? How does that hurt you? I mean, it might hurt you emotionally, but how does it hurt Muhammad? It doesn't hurt. He's dead. He's gone. It doesn't hurt him. Supposedly he's with Allah in Jannah. He sees Allah. He's like, who cares? Like, he's not getting hurt by like they say, the dog barking doesn't hurt the moon or whatever, the sun. The sun doesn't get less bright. So Muslims need to talk, and people like Abu Layth, they are promoting this Islamic approach of tolerance, of like, apostates will be apostates. Just leave ex-Muslims alone. He has a video. He says, leave ex-Muslims alone. Just leave them alone. Like, let them do what they do. They're not affecting us. You want to be Muslim, you be Muslim. You don't want to be Muslim, you don't be Muslim. That's everyone. La ikraha fi din. There's no compulsion in religion. The Quran does say that. So you can.
But the Quran also says that the only deen which Allah will accept is Islam.
Yeah, so you can pick and choose, because at the end of the day, it's all man-made. So we want to pick and choose. We want to encourage and promote the scholars that pick and choose the good things, right?
Yeah,
Of course, you're right that the Quran says that inna deen inda Allahi Islam, the only deen, but that's more like a religious religiously the only thing that will be accepted from God is Islam. But worse than that is not that. Like the worst comments in the Quran are things like, لِيُظْهِرَهُ عَلَى الدِّينِ كُلِّ وَلَوْ كَرِهَ الْكَافِرُونَ, that Allah will establish his deen over all other ways of life, even if the disbelievers hate it, or if the mushrikun, the polytheists, detest it, or whatever, right? There's some terms like that in the Quran. So there is a lot of, that sort of sentiment in the Quran as well, which is violent, especially Surah 9, right? Surah Bara.
Surah Tawbah.
Surah Tawbah or Surah Bara is like the most kind of violent, aggressive verses in the Quran. So for sure it has that section as well, right? So it depends on the scholars how they interpret it, and that's basically will determine how the Muslim community will go, because Muslim community, the Sunni community, is very much based on the scholars, right?
So possibly when we think in this way that if you do not have option, you do not have majority, you do not have power, you will be preaching things like la ikraha fi din, there is no compulsion in religion, lakum dinukum waliya din, for you your religion, for me my religion, or the way. Okay, but when you come in power, when you have the majority, then you start behaving like what Muslims were, and what is shown in Surah Tawbah.
If I may.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, what just Sahil said. You earlier mentioned that the Muslims in Canada are generally very tolerant. Now, bonus question for you. So, do you think it may be because of the number, what Sahil just said, because we see their intolerance increasing in other parts of the world too, including West. I would like to mention the stabbing of Hatun Tash, unfortunately.
Yeah. So okay. So Hatun Tash thing is a little bit complicated, I think, because that is, that's. I don't want to blame her for what she's doing. She has every right to speak, to drill holes in the Quran, to say your prophet is. I'm not going to repeat it because I don't want you to get YouTube strike or something. Your prophet is, and then a lot of like very aggressive language about Muhammad, right? Like
Yeah.
And again, I can't even say it because you will get like a YouTube strike if I say it.
Yeah.
So
So our policy is that we don't believe in disrespecting, any religion or personalities. We
yeah,
just criticize in a, good
yeah,
way, so that even if Muslims are hearing us, they should not feel,
yeah, yeah.
something that bad level, I think.
So so it's a tough question what you're saying. What I think is, okay, put your question another way. The Muslims here, okay, if they were the majority, what would they do? If you want to ask it that way, I think I can answer that way better.
Yeah.
I think some of the Muslims have a lot of cognitive dissonance about Sharia law. And I think a lot of them want Sharia law, or they claim to want Sharia law, but they don't really want it. Okay, let me tell you a
They
story.
don't want it for themselves. They want it for others.
So like, because a lot of Muslims include, I was shocked to find out that like a lot of, when I was Sunni, some of my friends with big beards would be watching a lot of movies that I thought were like, like Toba Toba, you shouldn't be watching that. And I was like, they enjoy this like lifestyle of like being religious at the mosque, big beard, and at the same time they're watching naughty movies on Netflix and whatever, right? So like, I think this is a big thing in the Muslim community here. But like, some of them for sure, the Islamists, I think I would not trust them. I would not trust Hizb ut-Tahrir. I used to have a friend that I was debating. His name is Mazin Abdul Azim. He's one of the amirs of Hizb ut-Tahrir here in Canada. Like, I'm pretty sure he would have me killed if he could. Like, straight up. He wants to reestablish Islamic State. His entire thing in life is, I want the Islamic State to come back. Of course, they don't like ISIS. Don't ask me why they don't like ISIS. They have their reasons. I don't know why, but there's some different ideological difference they have with ISIS. But they want to bring back Islamic State, and if they do, they would have people like me probably killed. So there are people like that in the Muslim community because of Islam. They are, they will implement Islam the way Islam says. But I think a lot of people as well are like the people that went to ISIS. There was a Japanese guy. So there's a beautiful book by his name is Graham Wood. It's called The Way of Strangers. And he's an
Mhm.
award-winning Atlantic journalist who went to, basically, he went to Pakistan, he went to Turkey, and he went to Syria, I think, and he interviewed jihadis. And what he did was he really got into their heads, right? And he talks about this one guy that I think he interviewed him who was Japanese. He's a Japanese. There was a bunch of Japanese Muslims that joined ISIS, and when they got there, they realized that, oh shit, what have I done? Like, like
It's
what
strange
did
to hear that Japanese, joining ISIS.
yeah, okay. So this is the problem with Islam, is that it has things in it that good people can become poisoned and they can become bad people because of Islam. Because the guy, one of the top leaders of ISIS, his name is John Georgalis. He converted, he became Yahya al-Burimi, right? And he was a white guy in America, Christian. In the middle, he had no Muslims even living around him. And he became one of the top guys in ISIS. He learned Arabic. I don't know if he memorized the Quran or not, but he became like this evil, vicious, nasty example of a human being that's like chopping off people's heads, that's promoting this terrorist state, right? And like, if someone like that can go from this to this just shows you that there's something wrong with the religion. Like, like Sam Harris says, an extreme Jain. Like, what does an extreme Jain do? They like fast until they die. That's what an extreme Jain does. But an extreme Muslim, they would do like a lot of very bad things because of the ideology. So, that's the problem with Islam, is that we need to be careful of it, but also we have to be careful not to throw innocent Muslims under the bus, because a lot of them don't realize what they're getting into. And this Japanese guy, he went to ISIS, he joined ISIS, and then he left. Like he left it, and now of course the government is in a very difficult situation. What do they do with him? Because he was part of a terrorist state. So I think Japan, they forgave these people, and they're like de-radicalizing them or whatever. They're kind of like, they let it go. But a lot of innocent, I say innocent Muslims. When I say innocent Muslims, what I mean is impressionable young Muslims. Usually they're young, usually they're in their teens, right? Like I converted to Islam when I was, 18 or something, right? These people, they're looking for purpose in life. They're looking for a mission. And then you get these people that come online and they convince them that you are going to be like Muhammad's Medina. There's going to be angels fighting with you alongside you. We're gonna fight, because ISIS is seen as an underdog. It's a small little group that's fighting the entire world. Now, of course, the reality is ISIS will never make it because they are way too extreme. They don't work with anybody, unlike what the Taliban is doing now. The Taliban's trying to be like, yeah, we care about women's rights. Wink, wink. Yeah, we care about, we're going to work with you guys. Wink, wink. So they're like pretending they're trying to work with other nations. ISIS didn't do that. So, of course, ISIS is going to be wiped out eventually. The ideology will stay, but the state will never remain because it's just, there's no angels coming. Right? So they're not going to be able to survive at the end of the day. I think if you ask me, the intolerance in the Muslim community is always going to be there, but I think it's becoming less because what's happening is, ex-Muslims, we are normalizing dissent, and you cannot live like before the internet. Okay, maybe you can get away with it, but now you can't get away with it. Everybody's going to criticize Islam. Like, there was Draw Muhammad Day. Okay, what are you going to do? First time you get mad and throw protests and burn buildings and embassies. But then it happens every year now. And there's nothing you can do about it as a Muslim. So might as well accept it. And then I think the people that are the Mufti Abu Layths, I think they're going to become more popular over time because a lot of Muslims that are growing up in a pluralistic society are going to see that, well, these non-Muslims are good people, right? And maybe they don't agree with my prophet and my religion, but they don't deserve to be killed. They don't deserve to go to hell. So, I should let them be. And I think that's I think there's always going to be an extremist element, but we need to fight that, right? You know what I'm saying? And we need to fight that as ex-Muslims. We need to support Muslims that are more tolerant. That's my opinion. Like if someone is like Mufti Abu Layth is actually promoting here, like for example, I made a video called something like the 10 strangest rulings in Islam, something like that. Like you can marry your adopted son's ex-wife, like Muhammad wanted to do that.
Right.
You cannot be alone with your adopted child if she's the opposite sex. If I adopted a daughter and I'm a man, I can't be alone with her. But if you want to be alone with her, your wife can breastfeed her. So some weird things like this, right? Adoption being forbidden, you're not allowed to adopt and give someone your family name. So many weird things, right, in Islam. And so I mentioned this. I made a video. Mufti Abu Layth actually responded to my video, and he disagreed with like most of them, right? So then some Muslim guy said, "Are you going to respond to his response?" I said, "Why would I respond to his response? I like what he said. I like his Islam. I like.
We want change.
I want Muslims to follow his Islam. You know what I mean? So why would I disagree? Like I don't agree with Islam. I don't believe in Allah. I think Allah is made up. I think people should leave Islam because they'll be happier and better off. But if someone wants to be Muslim and they're going to be tolerant, I'm okay with that. That's fine. Like we don't care. We don't care if you want to be Muslim or if you want to be Hindu or if you want to be atheist, as long as you respect my rights to be who I am. Right?
Yeah.
I actually will fight for, and I've done this on my channel. I fought for the rights of Muslim women to wear hijab. There was a young girl, she was kicked out of a soccer tournament because she was wearing hijab. And I made a video. I said, this is stupid. Like, how does that affect her soccer playing? Why does anyone care if she wears hijab? If she wants to wear hijab, let her wear hijab. If she doesn't want to wear hijab, equally so, we should promote and support her right not to wear hijab. Like, for example, like in Iran, the chess team, they're kicking off people that don't want to. There was a woman that was not wearing hijab, and they kicked her off the chess team. Again, this is equally stupid. What does hijab or not hijab have to do with chess? So in both cases, I will fight for people's rights to be themselves, right? As long as they're not pushing it on someone else, then that's what's important. Not whether someone is Muslim or Hindu or atheist. That doesn't matter. That's a personal thing. Or gay, or black. It doesn't matter. What matters is how you treat other people.
Right. In fact, we are seeing so many new interpretation of Islam and Quran. I'll tell you that what we normally do on this channel is, 2 days in a week, we keep open live stream. We invite our Muslim brothers and sisters to join this stream. We pick up a topic and let them speak what they have to say about that objection we are bringing out. Okay, so while doing this, we see that we see all sort of excuses and interpretations. In fact, I'll tell you one of the interpretation and new thing that I have heard. I don't know from where this interpretation has come, which new scholar has given this interpretation. This guy was telling that the Hindus and the Christians, they are not kafirs. So you have misunderstood the word kafir and mushrik. They are not kafir. So it was really new for me that this guy is not considering Hindus and Christians and the other guys as kafir.
Yeah, so there is a mainstream sort of version of what you just said. Hamza Yusuf has said something to this effect, but I think it's very dishonest, obviously, because basically what these people say is that a kafir is not someone that is not a Muslim, but is someone that knowingly knows
right.
Allah is real and rejects him. But these people, I mean, people that unless it's like a mainstream opinion, like for example, Quranists, I don't really bother talking to Quranists because I don't care. Like, again, it's like Mufti Lay. It's like your version of Islam is so weird. It doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't really care what you believe. You just do what you want. Like, I'm not talking to you. I'm talking to Sunni Muslims. I want to talk to Sunni Muslims who believe in Hadith, not Quranists that or people that pick and choose which Hadith they want to follow that based on what it says, not based on the rules of transmission. So again,
we get those kind of callers as well. They cherry pick. We'll select this, but we'll not select the one that you are telling.
Yeah. I mean, it's dishonest, and that's, there's gonna have to be some dishonesty, I think, at some point for people to change Islam, because it is what it is. There's a lot of bad things in it. So, which is why people like ISIS, they continue to win the debate sometimes, because there's a lot of bad things in the Quran and Hadith that make it easy to make that interpretation, right?
Yeah. Just one question from my side, since you have mentioned about the Quranists. Okay, while I was conducting an interview for interview of one of the ex-Muslim, she was telling me there was one guy who was Quranist, and he already had a wife. So wanted to know, I mean, have you heard about this, that the Quranist also open to threesome and foursome? Because they are referring to that verse of Surah Nisa, that you can marry a woman of your choice in 1 1 2 2 3 3 and 4 4, something like that. So he was like, the Quran allows threesome and foursome also, because when you go to Hadith, then you are not allowed. So have you heard something like this from the Quranis, that they're okay with threesome and foursome?
The problem with the Quran, the problem with being a Quranist is there's no context to anything. Like, you can make up like 500 different religions from just the Quran, because even the Quran, when it talks about, it talks about the Battle of Badr, and it says that, you were all scared, and then we made you sleep, and then it rained. If you don't know about the Battle of Badr, like, there's no way to make sense of what it's talking about. It's like you guys were scared and something what's going on? Like, what's the Quran talking about, right? So the Quran does have some kind of basic rules about praying. Pray this way, wash this way, have a Friday prayer. But like when I ask Quranists, okay, how do you pray Jummah? Like there's no rules, there's There's no context. It's just like
Methods. Yeah.
there's no method. Like, what do? You sit together and you like sing a song. Like, what is it? What does it mean? So I don't really bother engaging with Quranists because it's like it's a made up thing that nobody follows. Like maybe not even 1% of the Muslim population. So it's not even
Yeah.
worth.
And majority consider them as the misguided people.
I mean, once you get rid of Sunni hadith, you are like basically, I don't even know what you believe anymore. So like, there's no point talking. You can just believe what you want. At this point, you're not even. I don't want to say you're not Muslim, but you are like a very strange type of Muslim. So there's no point engaging because my point is, I want to engage with people that were like me, and I
Right.
understand. I understand that. I don't understand Quranism because to me it's stupid. So why would I talk to people like that?
Right, right. I totally agree with you. Before we move to the next question, which is already on, just let me take one super chat. NN
Mhm.
Paul 40 rupees का contribution. Thanks a lot, NN Paul जी. मुझे भी join होना है. मेरे अनुभव मुझे बताना है. NN Paul जी, आप इंटरव्यू खत्म होने के बाद, if time permits, we'll open the call if Abdullah Samir ji is okay with that. So आप रुके रहिए थोड़ा. Let the interview finish first, and then we'll decide, whether we are going with calls or not. Okay. So before we move to the next question, Abdullah Samir ji, which is already on the screen, someone has commented that your grandparents were from India. Is it true?
Yes, this is true. So I was born in Kenya. My parents were born in Kenya. My
Okay.
grandparents migrated from India.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know the details on my dad's side, but my mom's side was from Jamnagar. So
Jamnagar?
yeah,
Okay.
like Gujarat
Hmm.
area. Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
I
correct.
am definitely Indian background. Unfortunately, for some particular reason in my family, my mom and dad didn't teach me the language. So my dad spoke Gujarati, and my mom speaks this weird dialect that is very local dialect of
Hmm.
very Indian local I don't even they don't even have a name for it. Like it's some local dialect. But they never
Hmm.
taught me the language. They said they disagreed which language. So they never taught me any language except for English. And English, of course, is the official language in Kenya, as well as Swahili. So
Hmm.
Swahili, I learned it and I forgot it. All I know is Jambo and Kwaheri, hello and goodbye. But
Hmm.
unfortunately, I never learned Hindi or Urdu or any other, even Gujarati. I just never learned it, unfortunately. But I am Indian, so in my family we eat like Indian food, and even my wife, she learned a lot of like pulao,
Hmm. Hmm.
dal, and all of these things from my mom. So
Yeah. So, when I saw you first time, long back, when I was not a ex-Muslim. Okay. When I saw you, I thought like you are Indian
yeah,
because we are very similar. Then, it's very strange to know that you do not know Hindi, or I thought like maybe, you're not Indian because you are very much, when someone sees from India, they will think that you are Indian. And you are Indian. I mean, since your
yeah,
grandparents were from India.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because my the Indian community, for the most part, when they moved to Kenya, they didn't like intermarry. So like I did a DNA test, and I was kind of disappointing. It's like 99.8% Indian. I was hoping to see some like some more details than that, right? But and for some reason I think I'm like 2% Egyptian, which is like I have no idea where that came from. So
Okay. So let's move to the next question. What motivated you to preach and spread Islam? Because, designing a website like this, and also, I think I have seen your biography on your website that you also designed a website called Verse by Verse, something like that,
Quran,
which
yeah,
takes,
yeah.
which has lot of, you have to put in a lot of efforts in websites like this. So, what was so motivation? How you got motivated so much that you started doing and preaching Islam like this.
So I think it comes down to what I said earlier, that if you
Yeah.
believe in something, you want other people to have that same, and you think it's good or necessary, then you would want other people to have that same result as well, right? Like I was amazed by the Quran. I said, hey, this is God's final word. I want other people to know the same thing that I know. So that's the reason why. It was, I think it was from a desire of goodwill for
Yeah.
others. I think that's where it
Right.
came from.
Also, for the problem with Islam is that it gives you a teaching like udu ila sabili rabbika bil hikmah wal mau'izatil hasana wajadilhum billati hiya ahsan. Okay, invite all to the way of the Lord
Yeah,
with wisdom and beautiful preaching. We heard so many times, this was from MBBS Dr. Zakir Naik.
yeah,
Okay, so you
yeah. I recognize that. Yeah, that quote. Yep.
yeah, so you get that feeling you are fed with these kind of things, that if you have accepted the truth or the truth, it's your duty that you have to spread it to the others in order to save them from the hellfire, because in your mind you think that Islam is the only religion which is correct, which is from the Almighty God, and the all other religions are man-made. So you have that feeling, and most of the Muslims, they do the same thing wherever they go. Maybe they are traveling, or they are going somewhere. In fact, I'll say, even if they are going to watch some movie, if they get chance to speak to the other guy, they will start inviting people to Islam.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
think that was the reason. Yeah.
Okay, so let's move to the next question, the important one. What were some of the reasons that made you question your belief?
Yeah, it's crazy. We've been talking for an hour. We didn't get to that yet.
Yeah, we have not
Um,
started, so the real game will start now.
so I think what happened was this. I was so the first thing that happened was, believe it or not, there was a friend that had a mutual friend, and this friend, Muslim friend, posted something about I don't know. I don't even remember what he posted, but one of his friends said, "Yeah, but Islam is false. The Quran just copied the story from the Jewish mythology or something like that, right?" And I was like, "Huh?" I said, "Oh, come on, this easy problem to solve." I said, "Let me talk to him." So I messaged the guy. He was a white guy, and he told me I almost became Muslim, but then I found out about this, so I didn't become Muslim. I'm like, all right, this is very interesting. I want to talk to this guy, and I can bring him to Islam. Like, yeah, I'm gonna do some dawah. And what I did was I started talking to him, and I said, okay, tell me what you're talking about. And he said, the stories in the Quran are copied from Jewish mythology. I said, yeah, but obviously, like, Moses was a prophet, Abraham was a prophet. These stories, they've been
Hmm.
passed on from generation. It's all from God, right? He's like, yeah,
Yeah.
but hold on a second. He said, do you know that these stories, they appear in the Jewish Talmud? I said, what's the Talmud? I didn't even know what it was. He's like, look it up, right? It's a collection of like fables and oral narratives that these Jewish rabbis have been telling to people, right? So I looked it up and I'm like, oh shit, he's right. Like this isn't a book that was revealed. It's not like, God spoke to this prophet, this rabbi, and told him this. These are like, some of these are just like stories, right? And they ended up in
Hmm.
the Quran. I'm like, oh, this is kind of like trouble, right? So then I started having some doubts, and I started to look into this. I started to look into some other things, and then I basically talked to my wife and I talked to my friends, and they said, you're just on the internet too much, you should stop doing this, just come, hang out with us Muslim friends more. We'll, don't go online and debate people or whatever, something like that, right? So then I buried my doubts. This was in Ramadan, like I think 2014. And I buried my doubts, and I said, I'm just going to be Muslim again. So I said, forget all this, I'm going to be Muslim again. So I was Muslim, and I fasted the rest of the year. The full year I was praying and doing everything, eating halal, all that stuff. Next year came, 2015 July. I think it was like 15th night of Ramadan or 17th night of Ramadan. We were in the masjid for iftar, and
Hmm.
meaning like the food that they give you after Maghrib prayer,
Yeah.
the evening
The
prayer.
actual party.
Yeah, and so the imam, his name is Sheikh Dawood Butt, and what he said was, um, these scientists, they think they're so smart, and the Quran, it says Allah holds up the sky without any pillars, and he was kind of like mocking science, right? He's saying something stupid. I don't know. I don't even remember exactly what he said, and this brought all my doubts back, because I had like buried my doubts in the back of my mind. I didn't want to think about it, but it was still there. And I'm a sort of rational person. I try to, like, I believed in Islam because I believed it was true. It wasn't blind faith. Like, I felt it was true based on what evidence I had, which was the Quran and the science in the Quran and all these things, right? So then when there's now problems with that actually causes my faith to be questioned. So I started again looking into all this stuff, and this time I'm like, I'm not gonna just bury my doubts. I'm gonna really look into it. So I read everything I could about why Islam might be false. I looked up blogs, and I bought a book on Alexander the Great, because Dhul Qarnayn, there's a story of this king in the Quran called Dhul Qarnayn, the man with two horns. Dhul Qarnayn means the man with horns. And it says he traveled to the east and the west, the place where the sun sets, the place where the sun rises. So I'm like, what? This is weird, right? And so I found a blog that spoke about this and talked about how the story was copied from Alexander the Great, the Syriac romance. So I bought a book on Alexander the Great. Like, basically, I looked into every single thing that made me, every single point that made me believe in Islam turned out to be false. So every single miracle claim, the mountains as pegs, the embryology in the Quran, anything that was a sort of proof for me was like dead, right? And then I realized that, shit, there's no good reason for me to believe this. I'm believing a lie. And before this happened, I was still praying Taraweeh prayer. I was going to the mosque, and I was like, thinking in my mind, am I believing in a lie? Am I believing in a lie? And eventually it got too much for me, and I said, okay, I'm not going to pray anymore. I'm not going to fast anymore. I'm not Muslim. I don't believe in this. And that's when I started to really engage with Muslims. So I started to post things on my Facebook saying, like, this stuff doesn't make sense, right? This stuff is, like this and that, different things. And some people were like, what's going on with you? Are you doing a social experiment? Like, is this a joke? Like, why are you posting all these things? And I'm like, no. I actually am wondering about these things myself. And then people are like, oh no, you shouldn't post these things. You're causing fitna in the community. This and that. And so then they're like, you shouldn't do this, right? You should actually be privately talking to a scholar, not posting this online, right? So then I said, okay, let me talk to some scholars. So I did that. And then even one of my friends, he told me I almost became atheist, and then I became Muslim again. And so he's like, let's talk. I said, oh, this is amazing, because you know that talking to Maulvis and Imams, they don't know anything. They don't know about these issues. They don't know Alexander the Great Syriac romance. They don't know about the Galenic medicine that Muhammad copied from. They don't know any of this stuff. People that know about this stuff are like the people like Hamza Soetis that are debating with atheists. The Imam at the mosque doesn't know anything. All he knows is what he's taught in the school that he went to, in the madrasa, and that's all he's preaching. He's useless. You go to him, he won't be able to say anything, right? And Muslims don't realize this when they tell you talk to the Imam. Imam doesn't know anything. The people that know anything are like experts in like debating and stuff. So, but anyways, this guy, he was a friend of mine, and he almost became atheist. So he knew some of this stuff. I went to his house. I deleted all my posts, and then I asked him about all of my doubts. I asked him about Muhammad, the things he did, and this and that. And so some of the things he was like, okay, this is my explanation. Some of the things he was like, I don't have an explanation for this, but I'm still going to believe in Islam. I'm going to take a leap of faith. And I said, why? He's like, because if it's wrong, then I'm going to go to hell. If it's right, then nothing happens. I just die. So basically, this is called Pascal's wager, as you probably know. It's basically, it's a very silly reason to believe in something, because you're basically saying, I'm believing just in case, right? Which doesn't really make sense. Like, you're going to live your whole life according to a lie just in case. Like, it doesn't make any sense, right? So at the end of it, I wasn't convinced, and so I started posting again. Then similar thing happened. One of my friends, who is now like an imam, he said, come meet me at the mosque. Someone told him I was posting all these things, and so I went to him. This guy was a little bit like of a snake. He was, even though he was a friend of mine and he'd been to my house, he'd eaten food with us, and he actually I actually trusted him, but he was a bit of a snake. When I went to him, he was asking me like what you call loaded questions. Did you ever feel peace in your prayer? Did you ever enjoy fasting? He was asking me questions and making notes so that later on he can go and post on Facebook, hey, this guy, he doesn't like fasting. Hey, this guy, he doesn't like like. So this is what he was doing. I didn't know this, right? But this is what
Yeah,
happened.
he,
Right?
he wanted to, he wanted to show people that since you're not interested in, praying and keeping fast, you're getting rid of Islam in the name of these doubts.
Well, worse than that, he was trying to say I was a fake Muslim, or like not
Yeah.
fake Muslim, but like even before when I was Muslim, no one should listen to me because that doesn't count because I wasn't like I didn't have kushu or something. He was trying to say I was I'm a fake ex-Muslim basically, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's no way he knows I'm not a fake ex-Muslim, but he was trying to ruin my reputation, right? And this guy's name is Orij. So I actually have a video where I showed like what he said about me. He said, my job is to show the whole, when you go after Islam, my job is to show the holes are in you, not in Islam. But he admitted to me, I'm doing a character assassination. He admitted to me on WhatsApp. So like I saved that and I put that in my video to show people like this is what happens. Like people will backstab you when you go against the religion. A good person becomes like, because the God becomes more important to them than even the friends in their life. It can happen, right? And it's happened to me. So excuse me. So this guy, I went to him and he tried to help me as well. He said, he speaks Arabic now. He studied Arabic. He went to Egypt and all that. And he said, the sun setting in a pool, it means to see it that way. Like, all the typical nonsense, right? And I said, okay, but why would Allah, use language like that, knowing that 1,000 years later, people would think it means the sun's going into the pool. And it's worse than that. The story, the Alexander romance that it's copied from, it's literally going into a pool because that's a 7th century story. They didn't know better, right? So the Quran copied it. And ironically, this is the funniest thing ever. The funniest thing is that the story goes, the Jews wanted to challenge Muhammad. And the non-Muslims wanted the polytheists, the pagans, they wanted to challenge Muhammad and show that he's false prophet, right? So they asked the Jews, what can we ask him? So they said, and they were like, because the Jews at the time, they used to have a civilization, whereas the pagan, the polytheists, including Muhammad, they didn't really have like a proper society. It was like many little tribes, and they weren't educated, they didn't read and write. But the Jews, they were literate, they had books, they had castles, right? So they were asking them, help us out to debunk Muhammad, right? And they said, ask him about Dhul Qarnain. So the funny thing is,
he got stuck there.
The funny thing is, 1400 years later, they actually ended up debunking him because of this question. If they wouldn't have asked this question, he wouldn't have included this story in the Quran. And so now we have to thank those people back then because they debunked Muhammad. 1400 years ago, they debunked him, basically. Of course, at the time, it wasn't obvious because at the time, the story was a famous story. And, basically, it's kind of like a dumb challenge because if you think about it, they already knew the story. They're asking him, do you know the story? He didn't know the story. He found out about the story. He included the story in the Quran. But what does that prove? It doesn't really prove anything. But at the end of the day, it ended up debunking him, which is amazing. It's just like a genius move,
Yeah.
So this was a huge problem for me. And eventually I said, okay, I couldn't solve my doubts. So now I'm going to tell people that I'm not Muslim. And I thought that people would just be like, like me, that if you see the proof in front of your eyes, Islam is false, the Quran is false, they would just leave it. But they didn't. And that's where I think I'm a little bit different than a lot of the Muslims that I know, because I converted to Sunni Islam on the premise that it was true. And so I was able to leave it as well. I wasn't born into this. I chose it for myself. And which is why I I had a lot of friends, Muslim friends. They loved me. I was like, even though I was a brown guy, I was also the convert in the community because everyone knew that I was Ismaili before, and I
Hmm.
chose to be Sunni. You know, people love converts. Muslims love converts. Christian, everybody loves it when you convert to the religion
Yeah.
or the group because you become the guy that is not them. You become the guy
Hmm.
that they want to be. Like
Yeah.
you become the guy that I used to take my bike and I used to bike to the mosque for 30 minutes to pray Fajr because I didn't have a car. They loved me because I was more
Hmm.
religious than them, and they
Hmm.
looked up to me, right? So now I left Islam. Now you know they don't know what to do. So what happened was nobody threatened me, right? Nobody like at the time when I left Islam, they were all sad. Like a lot of my friends were crying, right? Like one of my friends was crying. He's like, "Don't say this. Islam is false. You know, don't say Muhammad is not true." And my sister-in-law was crying as well. My auntie was crying as well. And the funny thing is, like, I had to stop myself from laughing because they're crying that I'm gonna go to hell, but I don't believe in hell. So it's like they're crying over something made up, which to me it seemed funny that like you don't need to cry for me. I'm not going to hell. There's no hell.
Right.
Thankfully my mom, she's not like that. She doesn't think I'm going to hell. So she's Sunni Muslim, but like I said,
Hmm.
she's like I think she's a little bit agnostic too. She questions some of the stuff. She's not atheist for sure, but she doesn't care if I'm atheist. She's like, yeah, I
Yeah.
still love you. You're still my son. I think you should believe in God
Hmm.
because I pray to God and I feel better. I said, nah, I don't. It doesn't make me feel better. I can talk to my plants and I feel the same. Talk to my dog, I feel better. Like, hey, buddy, how's it going or whatever. But I don't need God for that, right? So
Right.
that's what happened, and that's how I left Islam, and that's the beginning of my journey. It happened. Now it's been what 6 years now.
Okay. So just wanted to add one question here. Since you were in touch with so many big scholars, because you were running websites like Light Upon Light and Verse by Verse, so I'm sure you might be in contact with these guys also. So my question is, have you tried contacting these guys for your doubts? Because these are well-known speakers. If you say Yusuf Estate and these guys are very famous speakers. So have you
Yeah,
tried contacting them?
I want to show you something
Resolve
on
it out.
yeah, I want to show you something. Hold on, if I can. Okay, so I mean, maybe this is gonna change, but there's been an unfortunate pattern here, which I want to show you, which is that people are avoiding to talk to us ex-Muslims. So if you can show my screen.
Yeah.
This has been my experience. So this is on my blog, right? So my experience has been this since I basically have been trying. Every single time I've tried to reach out and contact someone, for example, Shabir Ali, I emailed Shabir Ali, right?
Hmm. Even he is a famous speaker.
And I spoke to him before I left
Hmm.
Islam. I actually spoke to his son. So, anyways, I'm not going to read this full list, but you can see it's a very
Hmm.
long list, right?
Hmm.
One of the most funniest examples was when I called in on Hamza's Den, the lion's den, right? Call in and challenge us, right? They
Hmm.
they uh they kicked me out of the stream, and by mistake they put the super chat on the screen. So they
Hmm.
actually admitted, okay, look, okay, I tried to join 3 times now, but I was kicked out. I guess you 5 of you don't want to talk to me. That's pretty lame. So we
Hmm.
have Muhammad Hijab. You have you have this like 5 Muslims, and I
Yeah.
don't even care. Like if they don't want to talk to me, it's fine. But like if the
Hmm.
like the only reason I called in was because someone asked me to call in. A Muslim guy said, "Why don't you call in? They like taking callers." I'm like, I don't know, man. Like I don't think they're gonna take me. And of course, they didn't, right? And of course,
Hmm.
there's a couple of people we talked to, a very small list. You can see a very small list of Muslims. The major list is very big, and people don't want to talk to us. Either Abdullah Gondal or I, we've tried multiple times, but it just doesn't
Have you not
happen.
received any response from them on email
So
that?
so so Yusuf Estes ignored me completely. Shabir Ali, he replied to me when I sent him a long email from his son. His son sent an email. Someone I know knows Shabir Ali. and his son. So he emailed his son, and his son forwarded my email to Shabir Ali, saying, "Here's a list of my doubts and my problems I have with Islam." This was like when I was back in 2015. And he said, "Okay, I'll get back to you." He never got back to me. So now I replied to that same email. I say, "Okay, look, you never got back to me back then. I'm ex-Muslim now." He knows who I am. Obviously, he knows who I am now because I'm on all over the internet. And I said, let's have a conversation. I said, let's have a friendly conversation. I would love to talk to you about this stuff. No response. They don't want to even. It's changing. I do think it's changing, but for the most part, they don't want to acknowledge us and discuss with us because they probably think that if they talk to us, that more people will leave Islam because our points are good. I don't know. I don't know why they're so scared of us. To be honest, like to me,
I'll tell you my understanding on
Yeah.
this.
yeah,
I'll tell you my understanding on this, and my observation is that these guys like Muhammad Hijab and Shabir Ali, they are very good in debating. When we see their videos, uh, debating with Christians and people from other religion. But I think they deny us because they know that they will not have strong arguments in front of us, because if a Christian or someone from other religion go and debate them and point out something which is wrong in Islam, they will always try to show them the same thing in their religion. So possibly they know that it's very easy for them to win with people of other religion, but that is not the case with ex-Muslim. I mean, we are not promoting any religion
yeah.
or
And
so.
also
Yeah,
even a lot of times that same show, there was this one and there was another channel where they take callers, Muslims. Even on the other show, they will take like white atheists. So they're not scared of atheists, but they won't take ex-Muslims
yeah,
atheists. So it's like it's the white atheists. What I mean is the non-Muslim atheists that were never Muslim, they don't know really the Quran, so they're not
yeah.
much of a challenge. You know what I mean? So I think you're right. I don't think Muhammad Hijab is scared of me. I don't think Muhammad Hijab is not. His personality is very like, I wouldn't even be surprised if at one point he actually asked me for a debate. I think at this point there's no point because he doesn't want to bring more attention to me. But I don't think he's scared of me. He's not that type of person that he's scared. Ali Dawa is scared of me, which is a joke.
Mm.
Which he's such a joke. He's such a joke. I ran into him. He's one
It's
of the
very
first guys.
irritating.
He's the first guy I basically talked to back in 2017 that was like, "Yeah, come, I'm gonna debate you. Come to Speaker's Corner." Then I said, "Okay, let's do it online." Then he blocked me, and he's like, "Oh, you're looking for attention," and he decided not to debate me. So I think the one person who's able to who has done this successfully is Apostate Prophet, because Apostate Prophet has reached a certain level, a certain threshold of popularity that they can no longer ignore him. And
Yeah,
like Ali Dawa said, "I'll talk to you when you have 100,000 subs." I didn't get to 100,000 subs yet, but Apostate Prophet got to 100,000 a long time ago. So at this point, there's no point ignoring him because he's mainstream. People know him. People see his videos all the time. So they can't ignore him anymore. So they have to deal with him. And that's why they're engaging with him. That's why they're debating with him, which is a good thing. I do think that as time goes by and more people get bigger channels, like myself, I hope I get to 100,000 subs at some point. I had to start a new channel now, which is called Friendly Ex-Muslim, because my first channel I lost monetization and I got too many strikes on it. So I created a new channel. I'm at 50. I just hit 15,000 subs. So I'm hoping at some point I'll get to
congratulations.
100,000. Thank you.
Oh,
But
congratulations for that.
yeah, thank you. It's a long, you know how it is, right? You guys are almost at 15,000 as well. You're 11,400.
Yeah.
So you just hit 10,000. It is a
Yeah,
grind. It's a lot of work, right? To get
thanks a
there.
lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey guys, this is your annoying moderator. Sorry about the sorry about the interruption, but if we can increase the tempo of the interview, we want to leave some time for the users' questions and answers as well.
Sure. Okay, so I think we answered this question. Okay, what are the 5 major issues with Islam in your opinion? Okay, this is a great question. I'm trying to see if I have. I wrote actually an answer to this. Do I have this? Hold on. Okay, I don't know where I put it. I wrote a post that actually highlights all of the major issues, but I'll try to remember them as best as I can. So, obviously, the science in the Quran is a big issue. The stories in the Quran being made up is a major big issue. The violence and jihad and hatred is a big issue. The fact that there's a lot like there's no clear, like all of the sects in Islam always fighting amongst each other is another problem. Why Muhammad didn't leave a clear answer to who should be the next, Khalifa, because there's a big fight over
Fight
that.
on that.
Yeah, there's a big fight over that. So there's many major categories, misogyny and anti-Semitism and stuff like that. In the Quran, there's so many different things we can talk about. I have on my blog, I have like all of the different articles referring to the things that actually I had issues with.
Okay, great. The next question is, what problems did you face when you decided to leave Islam?
So
Especially
lucky for me, again, I told you I didn't have any violence against me. I was able to leave Islam peacefully. A lot of my friends were very sad that I left Islam. They wanted to help me. They wanted me to read this book or that book. They invited me to some conferences that, why don't you come to, there was a Yasir Qadhi so because this is becoming such a big thing, there was actually a conference Yasir Qadhi did on doubt. I think he called it No Doubt or something, right? So they said you should come to this conference. And I'm like, I'm gonna be this one guy there among 500 Muslims. Like, I didn't really want to go. I said, I don't want. I said, I'll pass. I said, listen, you know me. I've thought about these things, my friend, right? Who was the Amir of Al Maghrib Toronto? And I said, that I've actually have reasons to not believe in the things I don't believe in. I said, why don't you arrange a one-on-one with me for Yasir Qadhi? I said, I'd love to talk to him one-on-one. He said, no, I can't do that. I said, okay, there's no point. I said, I'm gonna go to the thing. What am I gonna do? Raise my hand? I have an issue with this. I'm gonna be raising my hand 1,000 times. Everyone's gonna be like staring at me like I'm some like weirdo. It's not gonna be comfortable. I need one-on-one. I said, I'm beyond these public conferences. The stuff they put out to public there's no point, right? It's beyond. I'm beyond that. You know what I mean? And same thing. And a lot of people wanted to talk to me and debate with me, right? Like Muslim friends. So I got so tired of it that I was telling my wife, like, people keep calling me and we talk for 3 hours and 4 hours. I go over the same thing. She said, why don't you make a blog? So I made a blog because she gave me that good advice. So now at that point, I would tell people, read my blog. Now you want to debate with me? Tell me one thing in my blog you don't agree with and we'll talk about it. Don't just come and you don't even know why I don't believe.
Random things they will put up.
And you waste my time. And I say the same thing I already said 1,000 times now. And now I have a YouTube channel, so I can just tell them, look at my YouTube. But at that time, I had just a blog. I said, oh, look at the blog. The blog has all of the points, all of my issues. If you have a disagreement, let's talk about that disagreement like that. But everybody thinks they're going to save you. Every single person who talks to me think they're going to be the one that's going to make Abdullah Samir go back to Islam again. And they don't realize I've been talking about this shit like freaking 1,000 hours now or something. Like I've talked about it millions of times. Like, you're not unique. Your answers are not unique unless you're actually somebody special like Yasir Qadhi, Hamza Sotis. You have something of substance. You've actually studied the material. You know what I've said, and you have a response. Then I'll talk to you. Don't, like, random people. They don't have any response to this stuff usually, right? So there are people like that. I have people emailed me. One guy emailed me and he said, I understand where you're coming from. I don't know if I should say his name, but he's like big. He studied under Noman Ali Khan, and anyways, I won't say his name. But this guy, he told me, I sent him a long email. He sent me a huge essay back, and guess what? So his issues was the same as mine. The stories in the Quran, right? What ended up for him, how he came back to Islam? Guess what? He said, I came back to Islam, but I'm accepting the stories and myths. They're just stories. They're just fables. And I'm like, wow, I want to take you, like, what he sent me. I said, I want to publish this. Can I publish this? Can I write this out in public? Like, I would love people to see what you're saying. He's like, no. He's like, no, I don't give you permission. I'm like, oh, man. Because this guy, he's not a scholar, but he's a student of knowledge. He studied under Noman Ali Khan. And he had the same doubts that I did. And he came back to Islam, but like a kind of weird Islam that the stories are I don't know how he believes that, how he's able to be Muslim. But, some people, they just cannot leave Islam. The cognitive dissonance is too much for them. And it's just too difficult for them to see through it. Oh, thank you. So anyway, so long story short, he's not like an Orthodox Muslim because he believes in the stories are just stories. But that's what happens to people that come back to Islam. I'm just going to mention that because someone asked me about that earlier. The people that leave Islam, and come back to it, a lot of the time they come back to like a modified version of Islam, right?
Right.
So yeah, that's basically that.
Okay, thanks a lot. Let's move to the next question. How do you see the ex-Muslims movement in North America?
So ex-Muslims in North America, I think, is doing a great job. EXMNA, and
Do you
it's
have kind of organization there?
yeah. So we have an organization called the Ex-Muslims of North America, EXMNA. I was actually when I became public, one of my best friends now, he's now my best friend. He reached out to me. He saw my videos and he's like, "Hey, I understand what you're going through, and we have a community here, and we have meetups." And I'm more of a private individual. I don't really go to meetups that much and stuff like that. I don't like, so I didn't go. I only went to like 1 or 2 events, but it's there for people that want to find other people that are like-minded, because when you lose all your friends, I lost all my friends. I forgot to say that. I lost all my friends. There was one more thing I forgot to mention as well, that when I left Islam, the Muslim community didn't try to attack me, but when I spoke about Islam, when I started speaking publicly about Islam, then I started to get some like lashback. I had one of my friends who I knew for 15 years, one of the guys that was crying and saying that, "I'm so sad you're leaving Islam." He said, I'm not gonna help you move houses," because I was moving. I said, "Why?" He's like, "Oh, because you have a blog against Islam." So you see how I've become now an enemy of Islam. So now his opinion of me has changed. It's gone from, "Oh, I used to be a friend," to, "You're an enemy of Islam and I can't help you. I don't want to be," even though what he was doing had nothing to do, moving houses had nothing to do with Islam, right? It's just being a good neighbor. But anyways, that's fine. I told him I don't need any help anyways, but thanks for telling me you don't want to help me. And then more recently, this happened maybe a couple of years ago now. I had people call my office. So people don't know, I'm not a full-time YouTuber. I do this on the side. Full-time, I'm a software developer slash like architect and whatever, right?
Oh,
And I had people call me at my company, called my company that I worked at. They found out where I worked. Multiple people called and they said, "You should fire Samir because he is bigot. He talks about Islam badly online. He hates Muslims." I don't know what they said. They said all sorts of nonsense, which is not true. Like, I don't hate Muslims or whatever, right? I'm not a bigot. I talk about Islam and I defend Muslims even, right? But whatever, that's what they said, right? And I don't know exactly what they said, but it was something related to this. Multiple people called, and then I was like, I found out later because apparently my company, the president of the company got involved, human resources got involved. They had a big meeting over me. I don't work at this
oh,
company. I don't work at this company anymore. They didn't tell me about it, by the way. That's the funny thing. They decided, mainly because my boss loved me and I do a very good job, they decided it doesn't matter like what I do online. What matters is my job, what I'm doing, right? So they decided to take a risk and to keep me, because the risk is these guys might have called the clients, right? One of the clients was BMW at the time, right? Like when I was working there. And they could have called BMW and said, "Your company that you're working for hired this guy. So you're canceling me." They're trying to cancel me. So they tried to cancel me. It didn't work. I kept the job. And it worked out well. So it worked out fine. But this is the risk you take when you speak about Islam. Not leaving Islam. Leaving Islam in Canada, US, for the most part, nothing will happen to you. Nobody will do anything. You'll probably just
when you
lose your
start
friends.
coming, yeah, when you start coming in public and you
Yeah.
try to criticize or defame, then the risk
Yeah.
starts.
I mean, just to be just to be a little bit more nuanced, yes, you may get some sort of violence, especially if you're a young person and you're living with your parents, and you're a woman, especially like a female. Like, you may end up getting abuse, physical abuse. I'm not saying nobody gets physical abuse when they leave Islam. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying I didn't, because I was an adult. I was living on my own. My parents are cool. My family's liberal Muslims. My mom's family is Sunni Muslim, but they're very liberal, and they don't even care. Like, they don't like that I talk about Islam on YouTube, but they don't care if I'm atheist. They're like, "Oh, whatever." You know what I mean? You be you. And I find a lot of Indian Muslims are like that. I don't know if you guys agree or not, but the Indian Muslims I know here, they're like, maybe because they lived in a more multicultural society with Hindus and pluralistic society. The Kenyan Muslims and the Indian Muslims, they don't tend to, they're a little bit different than the Pakistani Muslims, and they tend to be more like accepting of who I am. I don't know if that's the same experience for you guys, but you want me to answer this question?
Yeah, it's for you.
So I don't focus on these stories anymore because I think there's much better points against Islam. But there is an article that Bible stories. I'll link an article that actually gives examples of copying the Quran, copying stories from the Bible. Like the stories, for example, of the sons of Adam fighting, and then the crow came, and this the story of Abraham being thrown in the fire. There's so many examples. There's tons of examples, right? I don't have the page right now, and I'm trying to find it, but it's hard to do it on the spot. So I'll send a link later. Oh, I found it. Okay, I'll send you a link. 1 second. I'll just post it in the. So there's an article that actually does mention this, but again, there's much better things you can mention than this example because, like Dul Qarnayn, the scientific errors, even the story of Jesus, how Jesus doesn't fit into the Quran. I've written articles on this as well. Jesus is obviously copy pasted into Islam, and it doesn't make any sense. We don't have time to talk about this now, unless you guys want me to elaborate. But basically, Jesus is a better example. It's the problem using this rabbinic stories is it becomes very academic. You need to then go into the Talmud, into the oral Torah. You need to be able to understand the sources of these stories, and most lay people, they wouldn't be able to discuss this. Which is why even me, like when I started to look into it, I realized that it's harder to prove this point, but there's much better examples. So why not just use those?
Yeah. So before moving to the next question, I would like to ask how efficient or how much changes you are seeing, people in especially the English audience, or if we say North America. What do you think? People are leaving Islam. I mean, the speed and what is the effect that you're seeing?
Well, I'm seeing that. I mean, I just uploaded a video yesterday of this American convert. He's a speaker. His name is Asadullah. And he was saying, just him personally, he knows hundreds of Muslims that have spoken to him personally, that have left Islam, that have doubts, that are, that are basically apostates or having major doubts, and they lead the prayers in mosques. They're Hufad, the Hafiz of the Quran. And these people, they look like they're Muslim on the outside, but on the inside, they don't believe. And he said he knows hundreds of people. So I think what's happening is there's like a major change happening in the community. And it's basically happening in front of our very eyes. People are leaving Islam like nothing else. And I think a lot more Muslims are going to end up agnostic. They're going to end up cultural Muslims. You're going to see a lot more Muslims that they drink alcohol or they eat pork, and they don't really believe, but they still call themselves Muslim. I think that's what's happening.
Yeah, so there is a question for you through super chat. Thanks a lot, Algebra. Islam is just Judaism on steroids. Anyone who has lived in Brooklyn, New York, can tell you on that. So, what do you have to tell on this?
Yasser Qadi actually made this comment too, not on steroids, but basically Yasser Qadi said that when you study Judaism, you see just how similar it is to Islam, the laws about the eating the meat. And I mean, it's obvious that Muhammad copied from Judaism because in Medina, there was a lot of Jews, but there wasn't a lot of Christians. So what you find is when Allah talks about Christianity, like he makes a lot of mistakes. But when he talks about why do you think the biggest chapter in the Quran, Al-Baqarah, is all about Moses? Because that's the material he had. Stand-up comedians, they use material from their own life, right? They talk about the wife, they talk about the kids, the office.
Yeah.
That's what Muhammad was doing. He's using material from his life, right? Like from people around him. So Judaism is very much, I'm not an expert on Judaism, but I've heard a lot of similarities. For example, you can't sleep with your wife. But actually, Judaism is like kind of more extreme than Islam in some ways. Like in Judaism, if your wife is menstruating, you have to physically separate the beds, 2 different beds. They have 2 beds. They have I don't know. There's a nice show I think it's called Unorthodox, on Netflix. If you guys have Netflix, yes, that's the one. You should check out that series. Your viewers should check out Unorthodox on Netflix. It's a nice show about a Jewish lady that was struggling in her family, and having doubts and whatever. And it's a good movie. It's actually a good movie. So it shows you a lot of the things that we went through as ex-Muslims, this lady was going through as well.
Yeah. So there's one more question for you,
Yep.
Abdullah Sameji. How Indian agnostic is asking, how do you see future of Islam after 2-3 decades due to ex-Muslim movement? How can we, from non-Muslim background, religious or atheist, help your movement?
So I think Islam, like I said, I do think it's becoming tamed, just like Christianity has become tamed today and Judaism has become tamed. When I have Jewish friends, and when I talk to them, they make fun of religion, but they still call themselves Jewish. Like, to me, this is perfectly good that you don't take it so seriously. There's no problem if someone wants to call themselves Muslim, but then they're willing to get a mortgage. If they need to get a mortgage, they'll live their life, in a way that it doesn't hurt them. That's best for them. If that's what it means to be Muslim. Like, for example, there was a guy that left a comment on Ex-Muslims of North America page. He said, I'm a Chinese Muslim, right? And he said, over here, we Chinese Muslims, many of us, we drink alcohol, but sometimes we also go to the mosque. We don't see Islam like you guys. Like, you guys have this ex-Muslim thing, but over in China, like, many of us, you would call us ex-Muslim, but we still call ourselves Muslim. Basically, and I wanted to interview this guy because this is a very interesting perspective, where they're more tolerant about dissent in China. He's saying that we don't care. We don't kick someone out of the community because they don't really believe or something. They're still Muslim to us, right? So that's okay. And I think that how non-Muslims can help the movement, I would say, one is to support the YouTube channels, and to support, if you're in America or Canada, you can obviously donate to the ex-Muslims of North America. You can support them financially, or you can support your favorite YouTuber in the channel. You can basically be an ally of ex-Muslims by supporting in on for example, if there's a YouTuber that's having a debate, by promoting the content, or even on Facebook, if someone's having a debate, a Muslim and a non-Muslim, you can help the debate, in however you can, or use resources. Sometimes you're not able to actually debate yourself because you don't know the content. But what you can do is you can share someone else's content. Like Wiki Islam is a good resource, wikiislam.net. Ex-Muslims of North America made this formal resource. It's like an encyclopedia of doubts, of issues with Islam, issues with Muhammad, the people that he killed, the Banu Qurayza incident, the Sirah. So basically, Wiki Islam is a good, so you can share these resources with people. I think one of the most important things to do is to be respectful, tolerant, and not to be abusive. A lot of Muslims get turned off by non-Muslims because of the let's say hostile approach. If you come across and you tell people Muhammad is a pedophile, and you use a lot of like nasty language, you're not going to convince anybody, and you're not going to make the world a better place, and you're going to achieve nothing except making that individual probably more religious, or maybe even pushing them into extremism. So I think it's better to try to be, what wins over a lot of people is the fact that many non-Muslims are good people. If you are a good person and you show that in your character, even if someone is Muslim, and this actually worked for me too. When I was a Muslim and growing up in Canada, I would have a big beard. I would be praying at the office. Nobody discriminated me for that. I mean, I'm not saying there's no discrimination, but what I'm saying is I was still treated with respect and dignity by Canadian people. The Canadians didn't see me as some retard, loser, idiot because he's religious. They treated me with dignity and respect, and they would ask me questions like, okay, why do you believe in Islam? And this is how I didn't tell you about this part of the story, but some of my coworkers actually were able to inject little doubts in my mind, because they would ask me, well, why do you believe, right? And I would be like, yeah, because of this. And they said, really? And they would ask me something else, and I would be like, hey, that's a good point, right? But I didn't leave Islam at that point, but they actually made a winning point which stuck in my mind. And over time, those little points, they all add up. Eventually they get to the point where there's too much cognitive dissonance. So either they change the Islam or they leave Islam, right? So and at the end of the day, I think I have to, that was a question you guys had. You were asking, what's my advice or what final words or whatever. I think that it's important to remember that it's not about tribalism. It's not about whether someone is Muslim or not Muslim. We have to stop thinking like this. What we need to think about is about people's rights. What matters is that everyone's rights are respected, and the tolerance, secularism is important, that everybody should have the freedom to choose for themselves. Even if they want to wear hijab, that's okay, because we have to be people that are not, we don't want to turn into what China is doing. What China is doing is, basically fascism, forcing Muslims to leave their religion, basically oppressing them, putting them in camps, making them eat during Ramadan. I don't want to live in a world where, just because of the group that I was born into, that I'm oppressed, that I'm not allowed to do what I want to do, because everyone should be able to choose for themselves what they want in life, right? Like if my
Yeah.
brother wants to be Muslim, let him be Muslim. It's his life. At the end of the day,
Hmm.
like, who am I to tell him? I can tell him, I think you'd be better off without it. I think you'd be happier and your life will be more free and you save money and you live better and whatever. But at the end of the day, that's his choice. And that's what I believe. I truly believe everyone should have that freedom to choose for themselves, right? And this is what liberalism is, right? Like, I believe that these better values win over the people much better than just debates alone, right? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So there is one more question. Chulbul, you wanted to add something? I think you were trying to say something. Are you
Just a quick note that there might be a lot of disturbance in the background from your end, I think.
from my side?
Yes, I think so.
Okay.
Oh,
So
it's
what
good.
I'll do when I'm not speaking, I'll just put it on mute.
It sounded, I didn't hear, but yeah, maybe if you like, you can do that. It wasn't bothering me though. I was okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, no issues. I'll mute from my side when I'm not speaking. There's one question, Abdullah Sameji. Are you aware of Sachwala's doubt about existence of Muhammad? So have you heard about Sachwala
No, I
from
haven't, but I
India?
can speak about whether he existed or not in general.
Hmm. So Sachwala is, an Indian ex-Muslim who is becoming very famous because he knows, the classic Arabic. Okay, and he has a very good command on Quran. Okay, so he's becoming very famous. So possibly the problem is that all his lectures or streams are in Hindi and Urdu. So I don't know how you'll be managed to listen him in case if you are interested. But the the what you call the context of this question is that he says that the Quran, there is no one called, the Quran never tells that the Quran was given to Muhammad. I
So
mean,
so
nowhere it is mentioned in Quran that, the Quran is given to Muhammad.
so what I would say about this is, there's been a lot of, so these are basically the far out revisionist ideas about Islam. Things like Muhammad never existed. Was Muhammad from Petra? Have you heard this one? Dan
Yeah.
Gibson's ideas. Yeah, this is a
Hmm.
very popular thing that's gone around. Dan Gibson said Muhammad was in Petra, Jordan, not in Saudi
Mecca.
Arabia, Medina.
Hmm.
Yeah, Mecca. So I was wondering about this myself. I read Dan Gibson's book, but I think at the end of the day, there's too much evidence that goes against the idea that Muhammad didn't exist. So there's a book called Muhammad and the Empires of Faith by Sean Anthony. Sean Anthony is an Orientalist. He's basically an academic on Islam who I really respect. He knows his stuff. He knows his shit. He's looked at like rock carvings, like in Arabia, and there's been ones that actually mentioned there's a prophet and this and that. He's found out, for example, like, I used to wonder things that I used to wonder. For example, how come there's nobody with the name Muhammad except for Muhammad? Have you heard this before? Do you know anyone before Muhammad was named Muhammad? It seems like
No.
it's a unique name, right? He
Hmm.
actually had a response for me. I asked him on Twitter. He actually mentioned he found some ancient book that mentions this name, so this name wasn't unique. There is the academics, the real academics on Islam who study this for the living. They have sources outside of Islamic literature, and I'm trying to. I don't have them off the top of my head, but he mentioned in the book that there are non-Muslims who wrote about the existence of this man, this Arabian prophet, who went and conquered and this and that, and there's I think it's the letters of Justinian or something like that. I'm trying to remember now. Again, I don't remember off the top of my head. I read the book a long time ago, but basically there is evidence, early evidence from outside of Muslim sources that there was a prophet and that he was doing these things. Now, of course, the details in the hadith, of course, for sure, there's like massive doubt about which ones are true, which ones are not true. Was Aisha really 6, or was she actually older? Did Muhammad actually? I mean, obviously, some of the things are hadith. It's like magic. He's doing magic, and trees are talking. We know that's not true.
Yeah.
Monkeys are
Yeah,
stoning
right.
each other. We know that's not true. But I'm saying the things that are more realistic. That, for example, this thing happened, that he killed this person or whatever, or he said these things that are not sort of miracles, just normal things that anyone can do. We can buy some of those things, right? And I do think that I would just stick to what academics say. I wouldn't go that far out to say he didn't exist. Now, if you're going to say whether Abraham didn't exist, I would say probably Abraham and Moses. There's a good chance. Biblical scholars that study the Bible, they have good reason to believe that most of the things that are said in the Bible, including the journey of Exodus, where Moses was traveling in the desert for 40 years, and none of that stuff happened. There's good reason to believe it didn't happen. There's no, there's archaeological. There's a book by Dr. Finkelstein called The Bible Unearthed, and he has a YouTube video as well. And he says that Moses didn't exist, or Abraham didn't exist. He has evidence, like archaeological evidence for. He's a biblical scholar, so I would stick to what the scholars say. And if there's like an actual academic, so when I asked Sean Anthony about Dan Gibson, or someone else asked him, he's like, this theory is a joke. There's no good evidence. Dan Gibson is out of his league here. What he's saying, there's so I personally don't buy that. I haven't reviewed Sachiwala and what he says, so I can't comment particularly about that, and I wouldn't be able to. I'm not qualified. I think I am in no way qualified to talk about this, because this type of stuff is like real academics. It's not just like what is like I know Islam from the Hadith and the Quran, which is basically mythology. I know the mythology. I don't know the real academics of whether Muhammad actually, like, what did the non-Muslims at that time, what letters are written about? I don't know any of that stuff, right? So it's
you
beyond my
cannot
ability.
you cannot say just for the sake of saying.
I'm not qualified to even talk about this. Like, you know what I mean? So
Right.
yeah.
Okay, Adam Manu has sent this super sticker of 10 HK dollar. Thanks a lot, Adam Manu, for supporting this channel. Okay, so I think we have already completed all the questions that we had for Abdullah Samir ji. Chulbul, what should be the next sequence? Should we take questions on chat, or should we allow people to connect on call and?
Absolutely. So, Samirji, if that's okay with you, there
Yep.
are a couple of our users who want to come online and maybe talk to you online, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure. We can do like maybe 15 minutes. Should be fine. No problem.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So,
Sahil, please take Uzma Khan. She's been waiting patiently.
okay. So, few things that you need to keep in mind. Whatever question you are posing to him, it has to be, relevant to Islam only. You are not going to promote or criticize any other religion on this stream. Okay. So, I have already shared the link to join the stream. You can keep your question and you can leave. Okay. We have apostate Imam. Welcome, apostate Imam, to this stream. Can you hear us, apostate Imam?
Apostate, you might be on mute.
Yeah, he's on mute. Okay, we'll wait for him. I think he's away. Let me take Uzma ji. Uzma ji, welcome to the stream.
Thank you so much, Sahil ji. Thank you so much, Ulfa Pandit. Thank you very much, and welcome, Abdullah Samir ji. My name is Uzma, as you know, and I'm an ex-Muslim too. So, uh, very happy to hear from you, all your testimony, how you become ex-Muslim, and all the process and challenges. That's the. I just have just want to share the, Sahil, brother Sahil. He just mentioned about the Quran, Surah Nisa 4, ayah number 3, and the people who, Quranian, who wanted to interest in marrying, they actually told, actually, that was my testimony. And then the people actually told me that that person, that that's a group sex in that Quran verse, Surah Nisa 4 or 3, and it says like, yeah, in nikah means, everybody knows nikah means, and then it says like two, threes, four. There is nothing like says like the separate ways, like, separate time. So that was my testimony, and I was just would like to know. Actually, I missed that part where you commented. Actually, I think maybe answer for that one. So is it the true, like, they say like about the group sex in that, according to that verse?
So the verse doesn't talk about sex at all. I don't think so. If you're a Quranist, you can honestly you can reinterpret it. I don't know, some random way. There's no rules about interpreting the Quran if you're a Quranist, so you can come up with any sort of interpretation that you want to. So unfortunately, um, is that a valid opinion? I don't know. I mean, they're making up opinions as they go. So yeah, that's all I would say.
So the nikah, the word nikah means like, it is like a sexual intercourse, literally mean. That's what he
Literally, it
was
means that,
referring
but
to.
literally it means that, but in the context of the verse, it's talking about marriage. Right? I mean, I would always go back to the hadith, but if you don't believe in hadith, then
Mm.
it's hard to really comment on that because the hadith explains that Muhammad, limited Muslim men to marry four. Because if you look at the verse, it doesn't even say two or three or four. It says two and three and
Yes,
four. It says
yes.
and. So again, it all goes back to the rules of interpretation of the Quran and how people will interpret it based on hadith, based on tafsir, or if they just make up their own opinion. I'm not qualified to just make up opinions based on. I don't read Arabic, so I wouldn't be able to. But yeah, probably if you spoke Arabic and you didn't look at the hadith, you could make up some sort of strange opinion like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Maji,
Thank you so
for
much.
joining
Thank
the
you.
stream. Yeah. So,
Okay.
yes, Apostle Imam, welcome to this stream. We are glad to see you.
Okay. Thank you, Brother Sahil. And hello, Brother Chulbul Pandey. And hello, Abdullah Samir. And hello, Sister Uzma. And it's really appreciating that today Abdullah Samir is here with us. And I would like to introduce myself. I am also an ex-Muslim atheist, and we make actually several videos together. I make several videos together with Sahil, and I
Yeah.
have my own YouTube channel. It has around 5 to 6 thousand subscribers, and mostly my videos are standalone. They are in Urdu and in Hindi. I was student of Dr. Zakir Naik. I was student of Islamic comparative religion. I studied complete Jewish Bible and the Christian Bible, and study fiqh and hadiths. And later, I left Islam in the year 2013. And actually, you could ask Sahil about me. Because he was the one who first introduced me to everyone, and that's how I became a little popular.
Yeah. So Abdullah Samir ji, apostate Imam, has recently started his channel, and he has tremendous amount of knowledge about the, especially the hadith. He goes on like giving references. Once he start, he'll give thousands of references together. We were hearing Zakir Naik giving references, like a gun machine. So we have an ex-Muslim, who is better than Zakir Naik, and he has remembered the references of all the hadiths, and that is Apostate Imam. We have done some of the streams together, and he has his own channel which is in Urdu, but he also does stream in English also. So what I'll request you to go to his channel once and check his content also. He's really good. And since we are the aim of our whatever work we are doing is same, we should support each other in this moment.
Yeah, good to know. Thank you. Nice to meet you, Apostate Imam.
Abdullah,
Thank you.
if I may add one more quick note, Apostate Imam lives in London, but because of the security reasons, he has to use a voice scrambler to make his voice appear like that. That kind of goes on to show what you were saying earlier. When the numbers are not as high, Muslims tend to be a little bit tolerant, but in
Right.
London, you cannot speak openly.
But there's lots of ex-Muslims that are speaking openly in London. I don't know about Apostate Imam and your particular like security risks, but one of the reasons why I felt confident to speak publicly about Islam is because of people like Hassan Radwan, Imtiaz Shams, and others that are able to. But of course, there are risks, and everyone's situation is different. And Waleed Vidu Wids was able to speak publicly about Islam for many years. So I don't know your particular security circumstances and what's unique there, but I've also talked to Sadia, what's her last name? Sadia Halim on my channel as well from the UK. There's quite a few prominent public ex-Muslims that even go to Speaker's Corner sometimes. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily do that, but I'm saying that I don't think
Hatun also goes there. Hatun, she's ex-Muslim.
Yes, Hatun.
Hatun,
Yeah,
yeah.
we spoke about Hatun on my channel a bit. Sadia Hamid, it is Hamid. Yes, thank you. Hatun Tash is her way of doing things is it's very in your face, like fuck you. This is what I think of your prophet, right? And it causes a lot of. She should not. No one should abuse her. She doesn't deserve to be hit, attacked, slapped, stabbed. Anything. None of that should happen. I mean, Speaker's Corner is a safe space, but Hatun is her way of doing things is more antagonistic. It's very in your face. It's very here's a Quran, I made a hole in it. I'm like the things she does, it causes. I'm just saying, like I'm not everybody does that. So obviously, if she's able to do that, and how many like she's been doing this for a couple of years now, and she's got attacked I think 2 or 3 times. So that's kind of like the most kind of worst example. What I mean is like the most intense example of someone that's going against Islam and Muhammad, and she got attacked a couple of times, but normally she's been okay, right? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the Muslims, even if you talk like simple plain English and simple calm down, they actually attack you anyway because it's their religion. They don't want to listen
what do you mean
anybody.
they don't want to listen? What do you mean they attack you? Like
I
physically
mean, that's
attack
what
you?
I have heard. I have seen that even if you are not confronting them, or if you're just representing what their book says, Quran and
So
Hadith says, they
yeah.
actually their attitude. I have seen that their attitude also is just like they just wanna attack you. They just wanna get very angry.
Well,
Their attitude.
getting angry is a very human response to when someone attacks your way of life, right? Like
I mean,
if I was
physical. I mean, you can see that
physical, so
they're
physical
like. I
again,
mean,
you
yeah.
would have to bring evidence for your claim, because in UK, I know, like I said, many ex-Muslims, Jimmy London, I spoke to another ex-Muslim on my channel, Muhammad. Like I've spoke to many ex-Muslims in London and that are public ex-Muslims. Jimmy is a gay ex-Muslim on top of it, so he's gay. I don't feel like. Okay, can I finish my comment before you highlight this blaming the
Yeah,
victim?
please. Yeah.
Can I finish what I'm saying?
Yeah, please.
I don't know about everyone's individual particular circumstance, but I have never been physically threatened or attacked ever for the last 6 years I've been doing this. The worst that ever happened, as I mentioned, is someone called my company and tried to get me fired, which I think is being canceled, right? They tried to cancel me. But in terms of physical violence, nobody threatened me. People actually felt bad for me leaving Islam, and they wanted to help me. And to this day, I still have some Muslims that are trying to be nice to me and hoping that one day I will come back to Islam. I don't know any Muslims in UK who told me they've been physically attacked. I do know it's happened. It has happened. It does happen. But I don't think that's the common experience that if I went to UK and I'm talking. By the way, do you know Ali Dawa met Faye Rahman, Jimmy London, and Zara K, and they all had a big meetup, and nobody got killed. None of the ex-Muslims were stabbed or anything. They had a friendly conversation. They had lunch together. It's not like, I feel like you're trying to make it sound like Muslims are bloodthirsty monsters ready to kill anyone that says anything about Islam. It's not like
No, I
that.
didn't say that all Muslim are like that, but some are like that. Some
Some
are like that, and we have a proof as well. Lots of they came to my channel as well, and the Muslim ex-Muslim I talked to, and they actually talk to the Muslims as well. I mean, they get threat and they get like bullied,
So-
like the
so
physical as well. So that's what I was saying.
online threats are different. You have
Not
to
face to
realize.
face. They
Okay,
did some of them had face to face as well.
So if they got face-to-face threats, they should go to the police right away.
Yes,
That's it.
they
Problem
did.
solved. Okay,
Yep,
so there you go.
exactly.
Problem solved.
Yep.
Like, I have
Okay.
not to this day got any sort of threats like that. I'm sure it does happen. Yeah. Okay. Now you want me?
Okay, so before you answer this comment, what I have to say on this is that you can always criticize anyone, but you should be sure that you're not abusing someone. Okay, you should not use the derogatory words. This is what I believe. Yes, Abdullah Samir, you can continue.
Yeah. So someone, Mark G is saying Indian ex-Muslim Sahil Abdullah Samir is blaming the victim. I said very clearly, nobody deserves to be attacked, slapped, abused, stabbed, or physically intimidated, threatened, harassed in any way whatsoever for whatever they say. What I was explaining to Uzma is that it's not surprising that I'm not blaming her. I'm not saying it's her fault. I'm not saying this should happen to her. I'm saying she is very vulgar and like antagonistic in the way that she says things, and of course emotions get very hot, right? And of course it's wrong, but I'm just saying that most people don't engage like she does, right? Most people don't go around saying you're a pedophile prophet, this and that, because that just causes anger and hostility. And of course, if anyone abuses her, I've always said, and I actually have a live stream I did with two other ex-Muslims, Abdullah Gondal and Apostate Aladdin, where I said clearly that whenever someone is escalating, right, from verbal to physical, they are in the wrong. If I say something about your mother and you go and you punch me, you are in the wrong, because what you've done is you've physically escalated from words to physical abuse. So that's never okay. It's never okay to do that, unless of course the only time when we should use violence is when we need to prevent another violence from happening. So for example, if someone's about to stab someone, you can punch them or whatever, but if someone's just saying something, you can't go and physically hurt them for that. You might not like what they're saying. All I'm saying is, from a human perspective, Muslims hold the Prophet sacred, and if someone is saying all of these nasty, horrible things, some idiots will lose their cool and do some shit. That doesn't mean it's okay what they're doing. I'm not blaming Hatun. She has every right to do that. That's Speaker's Corner. That is supposed to be a safe space to say whatever you want to say about anything, right? If you want to say any god, anything bad about anyone's beliefs or whatever, that's okay. That's what that space is supposed to be for. And I actually talked about Muhammad Hijab's reaction there and what he said, and he was blaming the police. And even Muhammad Hijab said this was wrong, by the way. Muhammad Hijab said that you guys are making our job more difficult as Muslims to engage with non-Muslims. And he said, I'm going to boycott Speaker's Corner for 1 month until I'm sure that there's police protection for all people, Muslims and non-Muslims both. Right? So that's what I like to see. Like, we don't want physical violence. I don't think the Muslims want physical violence.
Yeah.
I don't think they
I
want
have
it
only
because
one
it makes their job
question.
more difficult.
I'm sorry. I really apologize. I have to go, but I have only one question and I will leave.
Yeah.
Brother Abdullah Samir, this is recently what happened in Pakistan. There's a girl. She was in Minare, Pakistan. I think maybe probably you heard about that one. And she was Muslim and she was wearing the full clothes like shalwar kameez and dupatta, and she went to Minara, Pakistan, and then 400 plus people. She was not preaching, she was not doing anything, but 400 plus people, they actually molested her, harassed her, touch her private part. So, do you have anything? What do you say about that? And I'll just leave and I'll sit down and I'll listen to your answer. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
Thanks a lot,
everybody.
Usman
Thank
ji.
you. Bye.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't really know the details of that, but I obviously it's a horrible thing that happened. Nobody should have to go through that. I don't really have anything more to add to it than that. It's just a terrible, awful thing that happened.
Yeah. So we have Pulkit who has helped us, supported us. Okay, he's telling, love your point, Sahil. Be critical, not abusive and derogatory, whether Islamic or non-Islamic topic. That's my major reason to support you. Thanks a lot, Pulkit ji. So Abdullah Samir ji, we ensure that we are not using any abusive language on our stream, because most of the Muslims join our stream, which is in Hindi and Urdu, and they keep their point. So we have taken this very seriously, that no one is abusing them.
Yeah, the challenge is sometimes even if you don't abuse them, they'll still think you're abusing them.
Hmm.
Because sometimes you might, let's say for example, you just say Muhammad, he lied. Some Muslims will
Hmm.
say you're abusing my prophet, and that's what I think. Like I was saying earlier, that Muslim community needs to become a little bit more tolerant, right? It needs to be able to understand that this has always happened for many, many, many generations, that Muslims and non-Muslims have engaged, and we need to go back to the time where we have dialogue, not we shut down dialogue with violence, right? If you don't like
Yeah.
if you don't like Hatun Tash, what she's saying, just don't go to her. Just go somewhere else, right? I mean, that's her
Yeah.
space in Speaker's Corner.
Avoid
But
her.
the problem is now we get back to the main problem. Is what I was saying is they don't have tolerance for what she's saying. They don't accept it, even though at the end of the day they don't have to listen to it, but still they insist. No, you don't have a right to say that. That is the problem.
Right. Right. So we
Hello,
yeah, we have AAV, who is in our core team. I welcome you, AAV, on this episode.
hello all our ex-Muslim friends. We all are just family here. Abdullah Samir, I am an ex-Wahhabi Sunni Muslim. So just I lived practically in a very radical Islam for 11 years in Saudi Arabia. So I know exactly what Islam is and what they live practical life. And I don't know about Quran and other thing, but in my family and in my all the relatives who are there, they live each and every minutes of their life just to read ayats of Quran. What we have to do? Okay, read this ayat and do this. So I want to ask you one thing that I think we don't need to criticize Quran and Hadith. What I feel by my own practical life, that Quran criticizes itself. All there are lots of ayat in Quran. If you just only read that ayat, you will find that all the people, all the non-Muslim will find that it's this ayat itself criticizing the Quran. Like for example, if we just read um, the 9 and 29, then we are clearly say that fight against those who don't believe in Allah and Nabi. So
Hmm.
it say itself that okay, this book is not for humanity. So without even criticizing, we can say that just we read the Quran and it it criticizes itself. And my second thing is that how we handle the moderate Muslims who have a very hidden iman on this book, and they openly they say that okay, ISIS is bad, Taliban is bad, but internally they're supporting them. So how we should handle with these guys, because they are in the biggest number, And what is your opinion how to handle these kind of guys?
Sorry, I missed the second part of the question. I got distracted by the super chat. Can you say it again about Taliban something?
No, no. I'm asking that how we have to handle the moderate Muslim who
Yeah.
who just saying that okay, this ISIS and this Taliban the type of guys, they are orthodox, they are radical, they are
Yeah,
terrorists,
yeah, yeah.
but in actual they are following Islam. I know that
Yeah.
because I was living in that family. I was just belonging to that family, so I am saying that they are just following Islam, nothing else. They are not terrorists. So I want to ask, how do we handle such kind of this moderate Muslim who internally have a very hidden iman on those type of ideology and those book, and but openly they are trying to uh, just try to hide the real face of Islam to say them terrorists. So how we should
Okay.
handle these type of guys?
So I don't I fundamentally do not see Islam as one thing. I see Islam as multiple things. Islam is the process of, now for someone that's a Wahhabi or was a Wahhabi or was a Salafi, this is a very different way of thinking. As a Salafi, you obviously think that there's one pure true Islam, which is what you're following, you know. But even then, I don't know if you know this, but most Salafis are against ISIS and against terrorism. Most of the Saudi scholars, and they're not doing taqiyya or something. They actually don't believe in this sort of jihadism, because they will say that this actually is, there's no amir, right? The amir is not accepted by the Muslims, right? I mean, it's all made up at the end of the day, the reasoning for why this is. But like, if you go to fatwa-online.com, which is one of the big Wahhabi websites from Saudi Arabia, fatwa-online, they will say, they have all over the website, Islam against terrorism, Islam against terrorism. The thing is, some Salafis, they become jihadis. They become jihadi Salafis, and jihadi Salafis, obviously, they're different. They see violence and all of that as part of the religion. When you say moderate Muslims, it's a little bit tricky, because moderate Muslim means different things to different people. So what I call moderate Muslims are people like my mom, like my auntie. These people, they don't give a shit about Sharia law. They have mortgages. They have no problem. They don't drink alcohol. They don't eat pork. They don't pray. Sometimes they do. They might pray Eid namaz, but they don't care. They like non-Muslims. They care about non-Muslims. They care about Canada. Maybe some of them, like my male cousins, would even fight in the Canadian army to protect Canada if Canada was ever invaded. They love Canada. They're truly Canadian as any white person that's born here, yet they're Muslim at the same time, right? So I think many Muslims compartmentalize the Islam. They don't agree with Taliban, or they don't agree with jihad, even though, like you said, it is part of Islam, some of these things. But they somehow are able to say, well, I don't, even though it's Islam and I like Islam, but I don't like that. I don't know how they do that. It's some sort of mental gymnastics, right? But I do agree. I do think that Islam is not just one thing. So we can't just say that, what Taliban is doing is a true Islam, and what, the Salafis are saying is wrong, or what every sect, where every interpretation is going to have some man-made interpretation, right? Like every scholar in Sunnism is making an effort to try to understand what the Quran and Hadith wants from us, right? I'll give you an example. If you go all the way back to the time of Muhammad, there was an example where he told people, he said, we are going to march to Bani Qurayza, and do not pray Salatul Asr. Don't do the prayer until you get there. So Muslims started going, it takes a long time to march from one town to another. And obviously some of the Muslims got delayed, and now they're in trouble. Do we pray the prayer because Muhammad said, don't do it, but we're going to miss the prayer? So did he mean it like as an emphasis, like he's emphasizing just hurry up, or did he mean skip the prayer, right? So they were confused. So some of them, they prayed right away. Some of them, they didn't pray. They missed the prayer. They went to Banu Qurayza and then they prayed. So then later on, they asked him, they said, okay, which one was right? And of course, he said both are right, which doesn't make any sense. But the point is that even back then, people were debating whether, do we take the spirit of the law, or do we take the letter of the law? The letter of the law says, don't do this, fight the disbelievers. The spirit of the law is, whatever. They interpret it different ways, right? So that's why you have Muslim scholars that see things differently. Some of them will say that the jihad verses like 929 are valid till the end of till the day of judgment. Jihadi scholars will say jihad is never finishing. Then you have other scholars like Hamza Yusuf in America will say, no, we don't believe in this anymore. We don't need jihad. Jihad is gone. There's no more Darul Islam and Darul Harb, the abode of peace and the abode of war. There's no more none of that. Now we have nation states. Now we have political alliances. The Quran also says, do not fight those who don't prevent you from entering your homes and this and that. So you're allowed to do political alliances. Like for example, Saudi Arabia, although some of the jihadists criticize them for that, the biggest ally of Saudi Arabia is America. America is the biggest ally of Saudi Arabia, so they have alliances with non-Muslim countries. So there's a lot of technical. I just don't like to say moderate Muslim because it's too difficult to narrow down what that means. You know what I mean? Like maybe some of these people, they don't practice Islam but they like jihad. That's possible, and maybe some of them, they don't like jihad at all, like my family members here.
Actually, I was Wahhabi,
Guys,
so I want to ask you one thing. Can you
guys,
tell me?
AVG, I
Guys,
think we are
yeah.
running out of time. I'm sure Chulbul
Okay.
wants to say the same thing.
Yep. Yeah, we are
Yeah.
running out of time, and Abdullah Samir has already stayed longer than he agreed to. So, if we still have time, maybe one more question, but that also would be stretching it.
Yeah, the super chat, if possible, we'll take the super chat. A quick answer on this. Indian Agnostic is asking, what's your view on France government putting cartoon of Muhammad everywhere? Is it abusive or okay from their side?
So
Question is for you.
yes. So the answer. So yeah, they broadcasted it, right? So France has a bit of a fuck you sort of attitude, which I like. They're like, we're not gonna let you tell us what to do, and so they broadcasted the photo on the, they were like putting it live, right? Of course, Muslims are like uncomfortable with this, but at the end of the day, it becomes what are they gonna do about it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think I don't necessarily think. Okay, let's say it like this. Based on what happened in France, I think this is a fair response. What they're doing, I wouldn't necessarily just go broadcast. Like, let's say in Canada, I wouldn't have a day where we broadcast Muhammad cartoons on a building or something like that. It's not my style. Everybody has a different style and the different things that they're fighting. Some people want to fight against blasphemy, right? So they want to have Muhammad cartoons. They want to have cartoons of sexy Kali, making fun of Hindu gods. They have all sorts of things that to them that's important. Blasphemy. To me, blasphemy, it has its place, but my goals are different. My goals are more to reach Muslims and to convince them to understand that Islam is false, because I think the world will be better when we have less people that believe in a false ideology. So that's my goal. So it becomes a question of priorities. It becomes a question of strategy. And to me, I don't think it's necessarily a good strategy to have a Draw Muhammad Day, but it has its place because, like I said earlier, now that they're doing it every year, Muslims you can't keep overreacting, So it kind of pushes people to accept and to normalize that we can do this and there's nothing you can do about it. So it has a good side. It has that good side to it, And Muslims will always say it's abusive. Of course, they'll say it's abusive because there's no, like, some Muslims will say it's fine. Some Muslims will say it's abusive. But at the end of the day, even if it's abusive, you can learn to ignore it, right? That's what we need from people. Okay, someone's making fun of me. People make fun of me online. I ignore it. I just, whatever. You know what I'm saying? It's no skin on, like they say, sticks and stones, right, will break my bones, but names will never hurt. Kids say that. Yeah, okay, so someone swears at you, just ignore them. Be a better person. Someone makes fun of something that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. Live your life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so it depends on how you take the criticism and sort of like this. Okay, so Adam Manu has sent the super sticker of $10 Hong Kong. Thanks a lot, Adam Manu, for supporting this channel. I think Chulbul will end the stream. The final words, I would request you to say the final words.
Absolutely. Thank you, Sahil. Abdullah, thanks a lot for joining our channel. And from the reaction I'm seeing, everybody seems to love you already. So hopefully we will get to have you here a little bit more often based on your schedule. We'll be in touch. And thanks a lot once again from the bottom of our heart to join us here today.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much. It was a good conversation. But the one thing I would say is, if everybody loves me, then I'm doing something wrong. You have to be always have to be in a place where there's some pushback. Otherwise, you just,
Abdullah, we are
Yeah.
Indians. We are Indians like you are. We love
Yeah.
everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
exactly.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, one thing I would like to add, Abdullah Samir ji, is that we also want Abdullah Gondal to come to our channel, and say his story, why he left Islam. We do not have his contact details, so in case if you are in contact with him, and you can speak with him and help us with his contact, we'll definitely like to call him on our channel.
Okay. I'll let him know.
Yeah. Okay, so
Yeah.
thanks a lot, Abdullah Samir ji, for giving your precious time to this channel and enlightening us with the knowledge you have. Okay, I thank Apostate Imam as well for joining the stream. In case if you want to say something to Abdullah Samir ji, Imam Sahab, you can tell him now, and after that we'll close the stream.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Abdullah Samir, and I'm also writing a book a combat kit for Islam. So where non-Muslims or atheists could debate with Muslims, there will be more than 1,000 different topics like punishments for apostasy, and there will be all hadiths where what is the punishment of apostasy, and we see in Surah Sunan Nasai that a person killed his blind slave, and Muhammad approved his action, like in Sunan Nasai Hadith 4075 and Sunan Abi Dawud Hadith 4361. And there are so many different hadiths, like anyone who left his religion, he should be put to death, like Nasai 4063. And it goes on and on and on. So it would be a great book, means it will educate people, um, and it would be easy for people to counter Islam, so they could easily counter arguments they could easily counter arguments from Muslims, and it will expose what are the false hadiths which are added by peaceful Muslims, especially by Qadianis or Ahmadis, because they preach things like this, that someone used to throw trash on Muhammad, women used to throw trash on Muhammad, and later Muhammad went to her home when she was sick and she accepted Islam. That's a false hadith, but this hadith was first propagated by Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Qadiani. Now it's popular amongst all Muslim. The biggest jihad is jihadul nafs. That is also false belief propagated by Mirza Ghulam Ahmad Qadiani. Not in even single hadith had this word jihadul nafs. This word never occurred. Sorry, my English is bad. That's why I make videos in Urdu. So the flow I have in Urdu is not that good in English. Okay. So I'm making so many things. I'm making a documentary to support the point of Dan Gibson because he didn't quote strong references. So the false history of Mecca, and that documentary is under progress. So I recommend you to watch it. It would be really informative because I'm collecting references from and compiling it from past 10 months, and it would be something great. And
Yeah.
that's it, I guess. It's already such a long stream, and I know you're busy. I would like to invite you for the next stream so we could have a longer discussion in the future, and we could discuss more about Islam. So thank you, brother,
Yeah,
for
no
joining us.
Yeah, no problem. I'll let you know. We'll chat by email. I think you did email me already, so we'll go from there.
Yeah. So, Abdullah Samir ji, I hope my language barrier was not an issue for you.
Not at all. It was
Yeah.
perfect. It was a good stream.
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Let's close this stream. Thanks a lot once again, Abdullah Samir ji, AV ji, Apostate Imam, and Chulbul Pandey ji, and all my viewers. I request you all to like this video and share the video. And those viewers who have still not subscribed to this channel, please subscribe this channel. Be our voice. Okay, so everyone, take care. Good day, good night, good evening. Shabba Khair, Jai Hind, Vande Mataram.
Vande
Thank
Mataram.
you.